Welcome to Women in Linux, and this is an episode of Tech Stocks and Jobs. How's everybody doing this morning? Casual economists, what's going on? I unmuted myself but demuted me back. That's what happened. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Blame the producer. Blame the producer. The producer is always back there messing with something. Blame the producer. This is our 101 episode. I wanted to do a summary of all the episodes, but I didn't get a chance to go through everything. I want to do a mashup of all the episodes. It ain't my fault that you be back there messing with stuff. Stop touching stuff. That's what you do. Stop touching stuff. This has been a busy week in news. It's been a busy week. You see the bank lost their money. Don't keep over $250,000 in the bank. Got to divide it up amongst stuff. That's why I give y'all different vehicles to put your money in. Right? It's so much. I'm reading stuff now. It's a lot going on. Got 12 people here. Don't forget to hit the like button. Also, don't forget to share this with others. We're live on Facebook. Hey, Facebook, how you doing? Hope everything's all right. This is gonna be a week right here. We got so much news to talk about, so many things to talk about. We don't even need a word from our sponsor. We don't need a word today from our sponsor. So um I am let me pull up my other link here where I want to get started at because we got a lot to talk about. Let's get rid of the doom and gloom first, and then we'll roll into to some stuff. All right, so let's start out. Let's see. Yeah. All right, so let's start. All right, so we already know that the SVB Bank, Silicon Valley Bank, went under. Everybody saw that. So this article just came out on March the 10th, yesterday at 4:55. Wondering what happened. There's a newer article that they did this morning. Um, I'm gonna just do a rundown of what we're gonna talk about first. Next one we're gonna talk about is this podcaster, a tech industry podcaster, and her software engineer husband that got killed by a stalker. We're gonna talk about that. Another round of layoffs coming. It's supposed to be a bloodbath for Facebook. And I should move this over to here. Mark Cuban wants the Federal Reserve to step in to buy Silicon Valley's debt to end the run. So let's get into it, right? Wondering what happened to SVB. All right, so first things first, FDIC. I don't know if y'all don't read um, FDIC insurance limits. Like if you're federal, if your federally insured bank fails, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation insurance keeps your money safe. The FDIC insures up to $250,000 per depositor, per institution, per ownership category. All right. So one of the big things that happened with this FDIC, some of these tech startups had their whole had all their money in one bank. So they may have had $3 million in a bank. But the FDIC insures up to 3 million, only insures up to 250,000. So what happens to the rest of that money? Where does it go? Who has what? Where is it at? Is it there? Can I get it out? What happens, right? The other part of that is I know people who had to make payrolls this week couldn't make payroll. Their money was locked up. So people who was expecting to get paid on Friday, or you got your automatic payment set up to come out, this, that, and other, doesn't happen. So let's roll back. This is why you have an emergency fund, just in case for instances like this, in case you don't get paid on time, in case something happens. This is where the emergency fund comes in. Dave Ramsey says $1,000 in the emergency fund. Most people have more than $1,000 that they pay out a month. I don't care where you at. I don't care if you own your house and you don't have any car notes, you still have utilities. Most utilities probably run about $200. You still got car insurance. You still gotta eat. You still probably at a minimum you're gonna probably need more than $1,000, right? Probably more like 2,000 saved up, right? But that's following the Dave Ramsey solution. The other part that they also say is you should have enough of your savings saved up for all of your bills, your monthly bills. So if you spend $20,000 a month, you should have um at least 5 to 6 months minimum. So 20 times six, that's 120. If you want to do a full year, you could do 240 for a full year, right? So 240,000 saved up. Put that in an as an emergency fund stored inside of your. You could put it in a money market account. You could put it in a CD. You could put it in a. You could put that in a brokerage account. You could do municipal bonds. You could just flat out just leave it sitting in cash somewhere. It's really on you. But the question now becomes is where do you have money that's more than 250,000? Because the bank doesn't have that money sitting there. That bank loans that money out. They don't have that money sitting there just waiting for you to come back and get it. All right. I saw Erica Williams. What did she say? She went to the bank to get $20,000 out. And she couldn't get it out. She couldn't get the $20,000 up. Let's see, 20,000. I should say I should do it like this. It may come up right up. Let me see. We have to go on her website and go to videos. Then she did it on the live where she couldn't get $20,000 out. It was a couple of weeks ago. It may have been about a month ago. But she was trying to get $20,000 out of the bank, and they told her, absolutely not. You can't get that money out. All right. So, this is another issue. I think a lot of people don't understand how banks work. I'm looking for it. I'm trying to find it. I don't know. I'll have to go back through here. But yeah, she had problems getting $20,000 out of her own account from the bank. Here it is. I couldn't get $20,000 out right here. Couldn't get $20,000 out, right? So even though you got that money sitting there, it ain't even guaranteed you can walk in and get your own money out, right? So that's another issue. So let's get into what happened. I gave you some aspects on how to guide and set up your situation where you don't have to worry about that money. But here's another issue: is if you got 400,000, 500,000 sitting in the bank. Now the issue is, do you leave it there, right? what other places are safe, what can you do, right? So this is why a lot of people have multiple bank accounts that do certain things. People have different things that they do. This is where some people, now I'm not telling you, this is not financial advice. This is where some people go throw their money into an insurance portals, or insurance products, I should say, because they're like, okay, well, at least the insurance company I know can get their money back, right? So they'll go dump, $100,000 off into an annuity, or they'll go dump $100,000 off into a whole life insurance policy, because that's something totally different, because they're holding more assets. They have more than 250,000. You put more into that. So again, just want to make sure that we understand this is not financial advice, but I'm just giving you other options that people actually use. Catch you before I shut up and listen. Was there a meetup? Yeah, we had a meetup Wednesday. Have a meetup every Wednesday, unless if you don't follow meetup.com, women in Linux. We have a meetup every Wednesday. If you are on that meetup, you would get all the updates if we canceled on or we delayed the time or something like that. So you automatically get that. All right, so let's talk about what happened. Wondering what the hell just happened at SVB. Here's everything you need to know. Silicon Valley Bank, a once trusted banker for startups, was closed down by, regulators on Friday. The collapse sent shockwave throughout the industry. And by the way, Wells Fargo had issues yesterday too. For those that follow Wells Fargo or have their stuff in Wells Fargo have had problem with deposits yesterday. And so some people were not able to make payroll as well too. So check your accounts at Wells Fargo, make sure your money is there, make sure you can access it, so forth. All right, the collapse sent shockwaves throughout the industry as startups worried about logistics and payroll. SVB became the latest casualty of a bank run as VCs and founders rushed to protect their funds. So again, payrolls not being met, and again, just overall chaos, right? What's going on? Intentional millionaire, what's going on? Only last month, Silicon Valley Bank became ranked among the top 20 on Forbes U.S. Bank in 2023. By Friday afternoon, the once trusted bank of venture capital investors and tech startup was closed down by regulators and what has now become the second largest bank failure in the U.S. Any deeper, long-standing reasons behind SVB's sudden collapse will no doubt unfold in the next coming days, right? But the coup de grace appeared to be a traditional bank run. On Thursday, the startup founders moved to make withdrawals, apparently rattled by SVB's falling stock and the losses, and the bank took on the sale of 21 billion in bond investments. Right, the bank had already been experiencing headwinds from the continued higher interest rates, pressured public and private markets, and elevated cash burn. And I heard at one point they was people was drawing out so much money. I think it came out to like 42 billion, something like that. People were withdrawing quickly. All right. Becker left the board of San Francisco Federal Reserve Bank on Friday. While some tech founders had a first advised against the anxious moves, they couldn't turn a tide that exploded into an all-out crash. The stock of the bank, we said it served about half of the U.S. startups and that venture capital firms invested in had dropped about 80%, 86% on Friday. As part of the closure, the FDIC, the agency that helps insure customers' bank funds, has now taken control of SVB. The agency is prioritizing returning insured deposits within days and devising ways to offer recoveries for customers with uninsured, that's over the 250 deposits, it said in a statement on Friday. A representative for SVB did not respond to insiders' request for comments. SVB now has historic collapse, put it second only to fall. Washington Mutual during the 2008 subprime also failed. The latest fallout will pose administrative and essential questions in the tech industry, already shaken up by tech layoffs. And it was a video I was looking at that were talking about. They had a press conference yesterday. What does it mean for tech startups? So I'm gonna pause right here and I'm gonna continue reading, but I want to pause right there because this is where I go into talking about working with companies that are on the aristocrats and the kings. They have already gone through the 2008 recession. They have already gone through these ups and downs, and you're just not sure where everything is going to go with the tech startups, right? Here's another angle to look at. When I tell y'all to go look at jobs at other companies, though some of those other companies are the federal government, right? So companies that work with the federal government. Here's the one thing we know. I can honestly tell you for sure. We know that for the most part, I'm going to say 90%. And when I say 90%, I'm talking about the federal contractors. I'm not talking about the GS 1 through 15, level 1, level 5, level 6, because they get furloughed as well, right? I'm talking about the government contractors, your SAIC, your Lockheed Martin, your Boeing, your smaller companies, your medium companies. I'm talking about them. And when I'm talking about them, I'm talking about they have a duty for themselves to keep at least a year or two of payroll just in the backlog, right? So you get up, you go to work every day, the government gets furloughed, they're not getting their money, they're gonna still keep paying you if the management has the right setup and bookkeeping and so forth, right? The other part of this is you again yourself should have that 6 months set up. So if the company doesn't pay you, your bills still get paid, right? And so when you get paid, you just put that money back, or you should put that money back, right? Don't look at it as extra bonus. Just going to refill the tank, right? So when I tell y'all to look at companies that are aristocrats and kings, I'm also speaking from a perspective of we know. I call them, as I said, trusty dusty. They trusty dusty, right? Go on and brush them off. They old. They do things the old way. You don't want to work for them. I get it. But here's what you know: if something like this happen, they're gonna still be around. They got your back. They've been through the recession. They've been through the market crashes. They still here, just chugging along. Like what you doing? Just chugging here, did chugging. That's what I'm doing. So I just want to point that out. All right, so let's get back to it. All right, it says, what kind of recoveries can customers with uninsured deposits expect? How will the startup companies handle logistics? Are there as many as are already fretting about how they will pay employees now? Will SVB find any buyers? And so forth, right? So they go. That was it. I think that was it. Yeah, yeah, that was it. So they got some more articles here about the implosion, about what happened. People freaking out over their payroll money. Our money is gone. Money gone. What's going on, Crystal? So let's look. Let's click on that. Startups. Let me see. And this came out yesterday at 1:41. Startups that use Silicon Valley Bank are freaking out whether they'll make their next payroll. Our money is gone. They go to the bank. They can't get their money out. Now Peter Thiel had his money in this bank and he got his money out. Peter Thiel got his money out, right? Let's see. Gary Tan, the CEO of the story startup, and he has a YouTube video. He had YouTube. He does a YouTube clip. I follow him. Story startup accelerator Y Combinator wrote on a Twitter that more than 30% of YC's companies exposed through SVB can't make payroll in the next 30 days and urged startup founders to reach out to elected officials for help. He added to CNBC that about 1,000 startups, let me click on that, Y Combinator has invested in will be affected by SVB's fallout. The last 24 hours have been crazy. Every venture capitalist cell phone is being blown up by the CEOs asking for advice for trying to figure out Monday's payroll, which is an immediate problem. One founder I was talking to is going to cover payroll personally on Monday and figure it out from there. Startups who couldn't pull out cash from SVB in time have immediate cash needs, payrolls, vendors, critical infrastructure payments, and so forth. AWS and them will be like, we'll let you slide for the next 30 days, but we really don't care about that. We want our money, right? We want our money. All right, let's look at see who he said if he got a list. I wanted to see if they had a list. He don't have no list on here. That's what I was looking for. They just hit me to the tweet. All right, so Mark Cuban says he called on the Federal Reserve to step in and buy Silicon Valley debt to end the run. Mark Cuban pleaded with the Federal Reserve to buy the debt of SVB Financial Bank. Shark Tank investor, well, why he didn't contribute into buying it? I don't know. The Shark Tank investor said failure to do so would affect confidence in the financial sector. Investment Bill Hackman called Friday for a highly dilutive government bailout of SVB. Government bailout, banks falling again. We went through this, right? We had airline bailouts. We done had bank bailouts. All right, we keep having these bailouts, right? Who gets affected by these bailouts? Who has to pay the cost? Right? All right, billionaire Mark Cuban has pleaded with the Federal Reserve to step in and buy Silicon Valley's bank's debt to save thousands of startups and prevent banking cognition. Wells Fargo donation. I appreciate you for the super chat there, Tim. We appreciate you. You know how we do. You know what that's contributing to. We will also be releasing some latest and greatest. I put some fillers out this week between Marco and D for for us. So we're gonna see how those fillers work. I just posted it in a Facebook group with Eric Coffee. Got a couple of hits. Got a couple of hits. So we'll see. We may even have some donations for us. So just be on the lookout. So SVB was shut down by regulators Friday after 2.1 billion stock sale failed following a 1.8 billion dollar on a fixed bond offering. In the Twitter thread, Shark Tank star Mark Cuban called on the Fed to step in and buy SVB to prevent a run on deposits. Now, I wonder how much money does the Federal Reserve have, and how much uh, debt does SVB have? I don't know. Can we find that out? How much debt does SVB have? I wonder how much debt. What's going on with SVB? The bank loses billions. See, I don't see a number. I just want to see if I see a number showing up. Let me see. That's 2 days ago. Let me switch this to the last 24 hours. SVB bonds sink to 31 cents on the dollars after failure of Silicon Valley Bank. Here it is. Sizing up Silicon Valley Bank's $11 billion real estate exposure. Here we go. The failed lender had $8.3 billion in mortgages and $2.6 billion in commercial backed debt on its books. There we go. There we go. Like that's just the start, right? Let me try to blow this up here. All right, all right, all right. That gets me in the center there. All right. Um, the stunning failure of the Silicon Valley. Oh, thank you. No thanks. Thank you. All right. The stunning failure of the Silicon Valley Bank was, which was shut down by regulators and taken over by FDIC on Friday morning, sent shockwaves through the tech industry, but it could have major implications to real estate as well. So now that tells me they probably gonna have to sell that real estate off their books just to try to recoup that money, right? So this is where again we're having some money set aside to seize up some of this. You know who gonna probably come in and grab some of this up? BlackRock, some of these private equity funds, some of these hedge funds. They're gonna come snap that up. Watch. All right, through the bank primarily lent to venture capital and private equity firms, about 15% of the loans on its books were secured by residential mortgages and commercial real estate, according to 2022 financial report. As FDIC works to sell off SVB assets, they selling off their assets. So who has the list and who they calling? Who got the list and who they calling if they selling off assets, right? So the FDIC works to sell off SVB's assets and pay out insured and uninsured deposits. These loans will have to change hands. The bank's fall has also led to broader stock sell-off and prompted stock exchanges to halt trading on a number of regional banks, including prominent commercial real estate lenders such as Signature and First Republic Bank. SVB held about $8.3 billion worth of loans secured by personal resident mortgages at the end of last year. So who's gonna consume those mortgages? Who's gonna consume those mortgages? Right? And then another $138 million linked to home equity credit lines. Those credit lines gonna go up. Those credit lines, that interest payment is gonna go up, right? I say the bank also held $2.6 billion in commercial real estate loans. Some 35% of the commercial backed loans were on multifamily properties. Office properties accounted for 21%. In its annual report, SVB said its commercial backed loans may involve a higher risk of defaulted compared to other types of loans. Given uncertainty around economy and residual effects of the pandemic on retail, hotels, and office, the bank increased its exposure to commercial loans in 2021 when it acquired Boston Private for $900 million. It said in a report at the end of last year, a majority of SVB commercial backed loans were 10 million and 20 million. Those loans totaled 739 million, and it also had on its book $733 million loans for 5 million or less. SVB made larger portfolio loans of 30 million or more, total 250 million, according to SEC filings. Approximately 27% of its outstanding loans were from borrowers based in California. Through bank reports, though the bank reports do not provide a geographical breakdown of the real estate loans. The firm has also invested in 1.5 billion in commercial mortgage-backed securities, making up just 1% of its securities portfolio as the end of 2022. SVB collapse marks the second biggest bank failure in the U.S. history and the largest since 2008 financial crisis. So I'm gonna start right there. What does that mean for your money that's sitting in Wells Fargo? What does it mean for your money sitting in JP Chase Morgan? You need to ask them. You need to ask them. You need to find out what's going on with your bank. I'm sure they all are scrambling, right? And find out. And you all can correct me if I'm wrong. It seems like some of this stuff is public record, to find out where their assets are sitting at, and according to their SEC filings, so you could go look and see where the majority of their money is sitting at. Right. So what does this mean too for the mortgage industry and for the real estate industry? All right. What does this mean for the mortgage? And these are questions that are gonna keep coming up this week for the next month, probably. Right. We're gonna get into some conversations on real estate today as well too. But I'm gonna finish this article off, and then we're gonna go into this podcaster situation here, because we need to have that discussion. But here's another question: what happened to all the people money that's over the 250,000 that are considered uninsured deposits? What happens to the people who worked at the bank? Can they get a job somewhere else? Um, what happens to people and their payroll? Like they say that probably won't make it for the next 30 days, right? These are questions that you got to ask yourself. And you have to ask yourself when times are of uncertainty, do you have enough money saved up? Do you have enough money in different various accounts that you can get access to, that you can carry yourself through? These are questions that I post to y'all every week. This is why I try to tell you to make as much money as you can. But when you start making that money, that bank got to work for you, right? That bank got to work for you. The bank collapse, is there a correlation with that and the population in California? Also, interest rate, the tech layoffs. I don't know about the correlation of the population. I'm assuming you're talking about the population leaving California. It could, but it also could mean a lot of things. It could. Uh, don't get me started. Don't get me started. Because and the reason why I say don't get me started is I was just looking at a video, and I know if I got time I'll show it here. I was just looking at a video on Medicare fraud, and that's in the millions, if not in the billions. And they were talking about how a lot of these companies they open up, and this is, and we see this in Florida a lot. At least when I'm driving around, you'll drive around and you'll see these buildings, right? And there'll be an office, and you rarely see anybody in the office. You see the lights on, but there don't be nobody in there. Or you'll see somebody's remodeling something, but you'll never see nobody go in. Or they'll have the brown paper bag film on the windows, but you don't really see nobody in there. You're not really sure or whatnot. They sell medical supplies. Well, that's what they were talking about in the video, about the medical supply industry, and how a lot of these companies are fake. And then they even showed the guy. We'll get into it. Even showed the guy counting the cash. Like, we talking millions, and it's the people even have camps where they show people how to do it and how to set it up, and all they do is go buy empty office spaces, put a number in, put a phone number, a phone in there, put a person in there, but they don't have no medical supplies and so forth. So who ends up getting hit with that? The taxpayers do. We end up getting hit with that. We end up getting hit with that, with those issues and those problems, right? And so then, if you go look at what Medicare covers, Medicare, Medicaid, what it covers, then you start to get into a bigger issue. Then we start getting into, what was the purpose of Social Security? What was the purpose of having Social Security? Who was that supposed to cover, right? It's supposed to, and again, the Social Security is a fund. It's a trust fund, right? It's a fund, right? So, I mean, don't get me started. Let's finish this off. Make my blood boil. All right. Approximately 27% of its outstanding net loans were to borrowers in California. The firm also invested in 1.5 billion. The SVB marks the second bank largest, the second highest or second biggest bank failure in the U.S. history since 2008. The California Department of Financial Protection and Innovation closed the bank Friday after it reported a huge loss on its bond holdings, which suffered in value after the interest rates rose last year. Customers then started requesting to cash out deposits faster than the bank expected, prompting it to sell off its bonds holding at a loss. And that was it, right? That was it. That's a little bit more on where their I want to know where their debt was at. Where is their debt at, right? All right, so let's get into it. Um doo doo doo. And this is something I talked about yesterday. So to be a podcaster or somebody on YouTube or just really somebody on YouTube, a lot of people seem to uh, take what people say personally and really want to show up and like fight and argue and threats and something like that. And you got to remember, on one hand, you, you threatening the person that's online, right? That's the face of whatever channel or whatever panel you're on. You're threatening that person, and then the other person on the other end, you're not sure how crazy or whatever they are. And this is not the first time these things have happened, and it's going to be a lot more of these things, right? Right. So I wanted to have this discussion because we're at a time right now where people are, let's really call it what it is. A lot of people are desperate, right? A lot of people are struggling. A lot of people don't have money. A lot of people don't have skills. I talked about this before. 7 million men have left the workforce and counting. That's going up. 2 million women lost their jobs during 2020. We have 120 million or 100 is it 120 million or 130 million that can't read or do math. We have 800,000 manufacturing jobs. We got the tech layoffs. And the tech layoffs, I think a lot of them that do DevSecOps cloud, all of that, they'll be fine, honestly. We also have you see the banks. We have 6.5 million houses under, well, I should say undeveloped housing, like we don't have enough housing for people. And I'm going to talk about that. We also have 54% of the US that can't read or write, right? And no, 54%, I take it back. 54% that can't read or write past the sixth grade. Let me just clarify that, right? So when we look at all these things, right? As much as we don't want to call a spade, we are probably the more fortunate on this show. I will hope that everybody in here on our live can read and write. I hope everybody in here on in this channel understands. I'm still pushing for 200. I'm still pushing for 300K as a way for you all to get your skills up. Those that are on the Women in Linux Slack, thank you for applying for the scholarship um, to O'Reilly. They contacted me and they was like, "You all are applying, but I need for everybody to apply. They should be flooding that." um, Diversity and Inclusion Scholarship. If you have not joined the Slack group, you got to join the Slack group because I posted it in the Slack group, and it's posted in the scholarship channel. The other thing is too that we're also witnessing. We're also witnessing um, the collapse of car industries as well too, right? We got that push to 2035. Like there's a lot of things going on. And if you all are not skilling up and you are not taking advantage of free training, scholarships, uh, getting tutors. Like if you don't understand something, get a tutor. If you don't understand something, work in a group. If you don't understand something, sit down and be like, I don't understand. I need your help, right? It doesn't make sense to me why in this group, in this women in Linux group, for y'all to come here and be on this live, it don't even make sense to me why y'all don't why you not making money. It don't. I'm not gonna lie. It wouldn't even make sense to me. I showed you countless of ways to get basic Linux jobs, just with basic Linux skills. I've showed you even if you go apply for the IRS to be an IRS agent, go apply. Guess what? At least you know you're gonna get a pension. At least you know you're gonna get some work, right? So don't be sitting on the sidelines wondering like, what if? Well, what if your bank closed? What if you got your excuse me money in the bank? Can you survive? The bank closed. Can you survive? Do you have another account somewhere? Do you have a credit card that you can possibly use? What does that look like? Right? Do you have a credit card that will cover your expenses at least for the next 6 months? Right? Until the bank gets your money back. Right? Just asking. Right? Don't sit down on the sideline and have a credit card with just $1,000 limit and your bills is $6,000 a month. At least get you something that's got 20,000 on it so you can at least cover it for a month, right? Or two if you had to, right? I'm not encouraging you to do that. I'm just saying, look, it look like the banks may or may not be your best option. So you can leverage brokerage accounts as well too. You can also leverage again, like I said, these different policies and so forth. Not financial advice, just things that I've discovered along the way. I'm just letting you know what your options are, right? So let's say tomorrow the government closes four of the major banks, Bank of America and Wells Fargo. uh what's another one? Bank of America, Wells Fargo. What's another? What? Give me two more banks. Well, let's just say they closed Wells Fargo and Bank of America. Right? Then JP Chase Morgan had to get bailed out too. Then Wells Fargo had to get bailed out. Let me see. Banks, bank bailout. Um, what banks had to get bailed out? There was some banks that had to get bailed out. Yeah, Wells Fargo, right there, right there. All right, bailed out banks. Let me blow that up. The Treasury Department has invested about $200 billion in hundreds of banks through its capital purchase program in an effort to prop up capital and support new lending. Here's a list of banks that got bailed out. Wells Fargo got bailed out, State Street Capital, JP Chase Morgan, Citigroup, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, Bank of New York Mellon. This is all from 2008. SunTrust, Bancorp, BBT Corp, Key Corp, and it shows you what they got bailed out at, right? The list goes on. These are all the banks in 2008. You can go look this up. I just looked this up to see who all got bailed out in 2008, right? And what was happening, right? That's right. That's right, Tim. Facts. When people are in survival mode, anything is possible. Down to earth said, I just got a new job back in September working on a side job for extra income, studying a free entry level cybersecurity class and looking into technical writing later on. Keep learning. You got to keep learning. You got to keep learning and keep going. Keep learning, keep applying, keep going. It sounds like a rat race, mm, but it's no more different than you out here doing wholesaling. Is no more different than you out here becoming a lender, becoming the bank and lending your money. It's no more different than that, right? No more different than that, right? You still got to do an analysis on it. You still got to make sure that person gonna get you your money back. You see, loan out $200,000 and tell someone that as you loaning that money out, the person's like, well, we'll get you your money back in 10 years, right? But then they don't get it back to you or whatever the case may be, right? 5, 10 years, right? You're gonna be asking questions, right? You're gonna be asking questions. Put yourself out there, right? So let's get to it. All right. Podcaster. Tech industry podcaster and her software engineer husband killed by a suspect stalker who listened to her show, police said. All right. The podcaster and her husband were gunned down by someone who broke into their Washington home. Police said the suspect, who also shot himself at the scene, had been stalking the victim for months. The suspect once called Zorea Sadichi 100 times in a day, and later turned to in-person stalking. Right. A podcaster and her husband were murdered by someone police described as a stalker and broke into their home. The police said that trucker Raman, I do not know how to say this, Kodak Razi, whatever. We're gonna call him Kodak Black. The police trucker Kodak Black. I don't I don't know. Had stalked the victim for many months after he heard her podcast and that she was and heard her on a podcast that she was affiliated with about gaining employment in the tech industry. The Daily Beast reported. Authorities said the suspect entered the home of Zora Sadichi. We just gonna call her Zora, 33, and her husband Muhammad Malad Naziri. We're gonna call him Muhammad, 35, who joined Amazon in 2022 as a software engineer, according to the LinkedIn page. We're gonna call him Kodak. Broke in and shot them through an open window at 1:45 a.m. before fatally shooting himself. Yeah, little Kodak. That's what we're gonna call him, little Kodak. All right. The story is crazy. It is crazy. Because I talk about getting people into the tech industry. What would you stalk me for and come harm me? Like, that's crazy, right? But let's get into it because maybe she said something on the podcast. Why did he start stalking her? Why did he start calling her in person? What was so intent, I mean, so offensive that he had malicious intent, right? Fatal intent, right? All right, so it says Zora. Is that her name? Make sure. Yeah, Zora. Mother, who was in the home at the time, was able to flee to a neighbor's house where she called the police. When the police reached the house in Redmond, Seattle, they performed CPR on Naziri before he succumbed to his injuries. That's Zora, and were both pronounced dead. I think it's Sadichi. Yeah, I think that's Zora. They were both pronounced dead. Police said Kodak began communicating with Zora after listening to her podcast, and the two became friends. It's not clear what the name of the podcast was. Oh, that should be easy to find, right? Let's see. He was vulgar and angry, left 20 messages a day. Podcaster murdered by crazed fan who stalked her across, blah, blah. Podcaster and her ex Google, blah, blah, blah. Let me see. They had a $1.6 million home they was living in. A self-styled techie was shot. Let me see. It was 2 o'clock. Okay, here she go right here. And this is her boyfriend, husband. It was both killed. He sent 82 texts on Telegram, and she told the police he had called her more than 100 times a day. All right. Let me go back to this story here, finish off. Durham Police uh, Chief Daryl Lowe said that Kodak first came into contact with Mizora after tuning into the podcast she was affiliated with on the subject on gaining employment into the tech industry. However, things escalated and she later filed a no contact order against him. Chief Lowe told the Daily Beast that he first became aware of the harassing behavior by the suspect in December and was told that Kodak once called the victim over 100 times a day. This later developed into an in-person stalking, authorities said, with the suspect visiting a home as well as following her to a conference in Denver. All right. A judge issued a temporary protection order. I told you about these stalkers at the conferences too, right? Right. A judge issued a temporary protection order in March, which would forbidden Kodak from contacting Zora, but it had not been served at the time of murder. Lowe told the Daily Beast his work as a trucker made him difficult to locate. Say Don, you said I learned in during the pandemic that people were very desperate to make connections with people. These people usually aren't sane. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with folks these days. I think the key piece here is that a protection order is simply a piece of paper. You got to get your pew 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 as as Erica says. You got to get the pew pew, right? You have to get you some Glocks, right? So I think a P keys here is simply a piece of paper that does not prevent a person from causing harm to another person. Lowe said, suggesting that it would have not protected her from the attack. Lowe noted that the victim did not know the suspect and was planning to come to her home. If she would have known, the police would have been there to issue the order. If he show up, don't issue no order. Him just go on and lock him up. We gotta go through the things. Okay, well, since y'all gotta go through stuff and he's standing right here, you ain't gonna do nothing. Let me go on and knock him out. Let me go on and knock him out for you. All right. I am calling that man Kodak. Little Kodak. Right. But it goes deeper than this, right? Because you be in these different shows, different podcasts stuff. And it's just true. Some of you may be listening to me or whatnot, and some of you may not, but some of y'all just may not be stable, right? And some of the people you run into just may not be mentally stable, right? And I don't care how careful you are, right? You could say oh, uh it's the woman's fault for having the baby. You could say that, right? And then the woman could be like, no, it's also his fault. It ain't. And then next thing you know, you in this debate, and next thing you know, somebody is stalking you and trying to make you believe that, right? Right. So, kudos to you all that are keeping yourself safe from the crazies, because they are out here. Down to Earth said, give them the smoke. They're looking for sane or insane. Everyone can catch it. Yeah, nobody is off. Nobody is off limits. You approach acting crazy and with malicious intent. You go shoot like I tell D all the time. I'm like, D, if you're gonna shoot somebody, shoot off them kneecaps and up here. We were watching zombie movies and stuff like that. I'm not gonna give you a chance to get back up to come chase me. If that person go down, go on and stab, go on and chop up them knees, get them main veins, them aortas, get them main veins. I do chest, head, neck, thigh. You got a shotgun, blow off knees. I'm not gonna give you a chance to get up and come chase me in the zombie apocalypse. If you do, you gonna hobble to catch me. Double tap. Yeah. They gonna let you no. Mm-mm. You can still hobble on. You can still hobble with no foot. You can't hobble with no knee. You can't hobble with no knee. All right, Meta is on the second round of layoffs. It's coming out this week, and it's expected to be a bloodbath. All right, second round of Meta layoffs this week. The cuts are expected to be extensive, affecting several thousand workers. A Meta spokesperson has declined comment. Right, Meta is pushing forward. Let me pull this up so you all can see it. Meta is pushing forward. On its Facebook, blah 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 blah. It's secondly thought inside the company that morning on next Wednesday, March the 15th, is when the employees will be notified of the layoffs, according to three people familiar with the company. A company-wide meeting was scheduled earlier this week and was quickly moved to next Thursday. The timing would be the same as Meta's last round of layoffs, which were announced on Wednesday in November. Affected employee lost access to their computers and work tools with a company-wide meeting the next day. This first round of layoffs has been in the works for many weeks, as insider source reported. Um, See, the first sweep round was 11,000. Blah blah blah. This time around, a common expectation inside of the company is roughly about 10%, so 7,500 people. Meta's headcount will be about back to where it was in 2021. It was still hiring aggressively, driven by increased usage trends during the pandemic. It's going to be a bloodbath. One of the people familiar with the upcoming layoff, right? So just know that Facebook or Meta, however you want to look at it, is having another round of layoffs. Another round of layoffs. You say what you say we will win over the hearts and minds over here. Two in the heart, one in the mind. Oh, all right. So that was doom and gloom. I had this um up last week, and I did not post it. Fidelity. This was posted 2 weeks ago. Is looking to hire for 4,000 new roles. Let me pull that up. Let me go on that link. Fidelity is to hire for new roles. Uh, uh, Bucking industry firing. So Fidelity, and I don't have a Bloomberg account, but anyway, I read the top part. Fidelity is hiring on a hiring bench, looking to fill about 4,000 new roles by mid-year, as the rival assets managers win now their staffs. Let me see if I can read this. The additional positions will focus on customer service and technology. The company said in a statement Wednesday it follows a year of record hiring that brought Boston something base Fidelity, whatever. I can't read the rest. But anyway, Fidelity is hiring, right? And they're hiring customer service and technology. So go check out Fidelity because they're hiring, right? People want to know what jobs at. There you go. All right. So let's go here. Let's stick to what I had talked about earlier. I mean, cancel that. Let me just cut and paste. All right. So I mentioned this earlier. The housing market, right? So let's go here first. All right. The housing shortage is the root of all America's problem, right? So in here they said the U.S. hasn't built enough homes in recent decades. The shortage is among the reasons homes are unaffordable for many Americans. It could also be contributing to other problems like inequality, low birth rates, and climate change. Right? I read it again. It could also be contributing to low birth rates, like inequality, low birth rates, inequality, and climate change. Right? Says the U.S. housing shortage isn't just fueling an affordability crisis; it's also contributing to major several problems around the country. Right? Imagine you're a city dweller living paycheck to paycheck. You're trying to save so you can afford a down payment on a home someday, but there's not much left to stash away after paying rent. A few years later, you buy a home that's probably a little bit more expensive than you can afford. You used to walk to work, but now you live an hour away from your job in the city. You begin spending much more time in your car. You make plans to start a family over the next year, but given the cost of the home, the extra years it took to finally obtain it, and the amount of size, you decide to aim for a fewer number of children that you had previously envisioned. This is the gist of the housing theory of everything, coined in 2021 by economist Sam Bowman and Ben Southwood. You don't think that inflation, you don't think that the Roe versus Wade, you don't think all these things that are being said on these different podcasts, and then you don't think tech layoffs, just and layoffs in general, and the cost of housing, you don't think that's going to affect birth rates? You don't think that's going to affect how people try to mate with each other? You don't think that's not going to happen? And this is the other thing that get on my nerves at this point, right? At this point, um, listen, and this is probably going to offend some people, and it's okay though, because you got feelings and you got a bridge and you're gonna get over it, right? So listen, I don't know where you all are gonna find these people, whatever you're looking for, right? That are, and these gonna get mad when I say this. It's okay though. This is just Tamika thoughts. I don't know where you're gonna find these women who don't have nothing. The only place I can think of where you're gonna find women who don't have nothing is under a bridge, living in a tent, or in a homeless shelter. This is just Tamika thoughts. This ain't nothing to do with women in Linux. Because at this point, you need money for milk. You need money for skincare products. You need money for getting your hair done. You need money to go to the dentist. You need insurance. You need a job. You need things. So I don't understand where you gonna find these people at, or this woman or whatever, right? The other flip side of the coin is everybody get on the Kendra G show and they're like, hey, they get mad at the woman because she's looking for a man that's making $100,000, or she's looking for a man that's making 80 or $90,000. When I look, and I do look, when I do look, when I look in major cities, when I look across Atlanta, when I look across DC, the DMV, right? When I look across New York, when I look across Houston, Dallas, uh, anywhere in Colorado, Utah, San Antonio, any of these major cities, just to rent. And I'm talking about an apartment. We're averaging anywhere on the low end about $1,800 to $2,200. Now, here's the other flip side of that. You get penalized if you got a roommate. You get penalized if you do house hacking. You get penalized if you start doing anything else. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, and this is just a message to ladies and to the men. Listen, the ability to make money in tech and the ability to be in the tech industry on an entry level job with the right set of skills, and I talk about these skills all the time. With the right set of skills, you can lend you 100,000, and that's just. And listen, I'm not telling you $100,000 is a lot of money, and I'm not telling you that is not a lot of money. I'm just telling you in certain cities, it just don't stretch. I'm just telling you. And I'm just being honest with you, because everybody else is not going to be honest with you. They're going to sit here and they're going to glorify it. And when I say it don't stretch, I mean it don't stretch. If you're maxing out your 401k, if you're putting up money for your emergency fund, if you got children, if you got student loan debt, if you gotta pay for a mortgage, if you got insurance on that, if you got insurance on a car, if you got a car note, by the time you pay we're talking about, as my dear like to say, major deductions. We're talking about major deductions. Down to earth, I see you. Herman's at it. Welcome. You said, OMG, imagine the state of women that has nothing. All right. Do you even want to know her much less lay with her? Probably. I mean, the way it sound, yeah. That's what it sound like to me. When I listen to that stuff, that's what it sound like to me. That's what it sound like to me. It sound like I want the bare minimum. I want the bare minimum. I was looking at a podcaster had posted this talk show, and on the talk show the guy said, the girl said, oh yeah, she liked to travel, and the guy said, when we see women posting their travels on Instagram and stuff, we immediately think that she's a hoe. We he's like, when we see you go to Dubai, when we see you go to Italy, when we see you go to Paris, we just think you're a hoe. So I'm just trying to put you in the mindset of where people are at, because I posted a video of me going to Paris, or I posted a snippet of me and in Paris, or in London or Dubai or in Ghana or in South Africa. I'm a hoe, like I'm a hoe, like we this is just a mindset of what we at. This is just the mindset of where we at. And so the problems, this goes back to what we're talking about here. You don't think that when a man or a woman says that about either party, either woman or man, you don't think that the birth rate gonna be low? You don't think that the engagement between man and woman, or woman and woman, or man and man, whatever you do, is gonna be low? You don't think people are gonna be like, you know what? I'm good. No, we good. You don't think it's gonna give it to you. You don't think people gonna be, you don't think people gonna be like, we good over here? You don't think people like, we're gonna be good? And that's the other thing too. I'm glad you brought that up, Natasha. What if I work for a job that allows me to travel to different cities to meet up with different people that are our customers, and I get a day out to go do a little lunch or something like that? When I'm working, you right, you right, you right. So I'm just putting it out there. I'm just saying this right here: make as much money as you can, invest that money. Make sure you get yourself a piece of property. Like I always say, get a piece of property. All right. Make sure you get yourself into a position where you got your money saved up, and your money that's saved up is working for you. Make sure you get yourself and the people around you. Like, don't go off and do it by yourself. I prefer people do it with other people, and I'm gonna tell you why. The reason why, and we've seen this, and we saw this with that, with the conversation that D, me and you and I had this conversation with the guy out of Atlanta, with Alex Goodwin and his crew, right? Alex been in Atlanta for years, throwing parties, buying real estate, doing whatever, whatever, right? And then here he go. He been partying and chilling with this guy for 20 years, but the guy got he jealous, and the guy ended up unaliving him, right? But what I'm simply saying is this: there are certain times where people will be excited for you and people won't be excited for you. And you got to do your darndest to filter out those people. I ain't going in just yet. I ain't say what everything I wanted to say. I said enough. I think you all get it. But I want y'all to understand at this point, I don't think any man or any woman should be looking for someone that's not taking care of themselves. The men that I know, just the men that I know, I ask these questions too. I say, do you want a? I say, what kind of woman you look for? He's like, I'm looking for a woman that is already that when I meet her, she got something. She ain't gonna act up because she got something she don't want to lose, right? So they don't want to meet a woman that ain't got nothing to lose, because the woman that ain't got nothing to lose in their mind would take what you got. So I'm just telling you, not every man out there is like that. But again, you got to do your good your own filter on these cases, a case by case basis. I'm just simply saying this: if you think the birth rates now are low, and you think men aren't mating now, okay. Because let me tell you something. I'm a Gen X generation, and when I'm looking at and talking to these young girls, and I'm looking at them online, and the report already came out, they's like, we good, and it ain't just happening here. I was reading across. I was reading something about, and it kind of lines up. I think is it in South Korea where the women are banding together and they like, no, we ain't doing this, and they trying to take out the men in in South Korea. Let me look and see if I can find that up. It was a group. Uh, uh, Let me see. Yeah, right here. Here it is, right here. The 4B movement, right? It's right here. A world without men. The women of South Korea's 4B movement aren't fighting the patriarchy. They're leaving it behind entirely. Right? Right here. I'm gonna call her young Miami. I'm just playing. That's what it looked like. Young means, let me see, it's big enough. Yeah, young means childhood was difficult one. The 25-year-old nurse was born to a family in, I guess, Daegu, South Korea, known for one of its most conservative cities in the country. Young Miami. Moms left the home when young me was young to escape her husband's physical abuse, leaving her and her sister behind with him and their parental grandmother when she was 5. Her 8-year-old sister started losing her hair from stress. As she grew older, young Ming found herself depressed, unsure what her future held, and financially unstable. In Korea's patriarchal society, in which the women are generally expected to defer to their fathers and to adhere to a rigid beauty standards, she felt like a perpetual victim, obsessed by the wrongs done to her by her father and pressure into maintaining her appearance in order to please men. Despite her meager budget as a nursing student, she purchased new clothes each season, spending a lot of money on cheap, poor quality clothes from H&M. She wore makeup religiously, I could not go outside while in makeup. I felt ashamed of my face. She said I had this pressure of wanting to look beautiful and wanted to be desirable physically and sexually. While scrolling through Twitter in 2018, young me came across footage of protests taking place in the streets of Seoul in South Korea, where cases of femicide, revenge porn, and dating violence are widespread. A surge in spy cam sex crimes, overwhelmingly committed by men, had mostly resulted in fines and suspended jail sentences if they were prosecuted at all. That was not the case, however, for a 25-year-old woman who had taken a non-consensual photo of a nude male model at an art school and posted it online. She was sentenced to 10 months in prison and court ordered sexual violence counseling. The demonstrations were a reaction to the blatant hypocrisy. Young Me was moved by the solidarity she saw, but there was one thing she found perplexing. Many of the women at the protest shaved their head on camera. As she began to follow their feminist Twitter accounts, Young Me understood this was a public act of rejection of the same Asiatic expectations imposed on Korean women that have made the country a leader in grooming products and plastic surgery. Right? She began to realize that men don't do that. Men don't feel the pressure to buy clothes every season or wear makeup. So she shaved her head too, stopped wearing makeup, joining the so-called escape the corset movement, and happening among young women in South Korea. I'm gonna pause right there. So I want to say this. So I don't know, you know, where this come from because people say like this a feminist movement. I call it a feeling movement, right? When I say a feeling movement, like if I am starting to lose my hair at 8 years old, I'm stressed out. It's a feeling, it's an emotion, right? If I am constantly worried about I gotta look a certain way, I gotta look a certain way, I gotta look a certain way, I am going to start to reject. It's just a feeling. Like I don't understand where people get it where it's a feminist thing. To me, this is like I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. This is not the life I want to live. This is how I feel. That's just my personal take, right? Just my personal take. Let me read your comments here. Down to earth, you said, "Yep, I'm reading the same. It would be nice that to seeing the single mother rate drop in the black community and these younger women focus on mental, physical, emotional health. They have is dropped." Journey to Jasmine said, "That's what they don't understand. Women in no way feel threatened by the movement itself physically because some of their rhetoric is leaving the internet and manifesting violently in real life. It is." Down to Earth states a lot of black women are single and child free, are forming their own communities to look after each other. I'm interested in seeing how these communities will grow and where. Don, you said if you think they're hard on women here, go to that side of the world. I'm a witness. Yeah, and but that's the thing though. It's happening around the world. Like this is not just happening in the United States. It's around the world. And so I also wonder as these movements continue, because there are women that are leaving the U.S. and exploring other countries. What are women going to do in those countries to those women? Are they going to become violent towards those women as men move into these other countries from the US? And a lot of people don't like the US, and they come into those countries and they start to date their women. Are those men going to become violent to those women? I mean to those men and maybe to those women too. So these are just things that I think a lot of people are gonna have to start thinking about as we sit up here and we say, oh, everything is peaches and roses. It's okay right now, but give it some time, right? I hear a lot of men and a lot of women also talk about we're going to these other locations and we're investing our resources and our money there. Here's the other problem. Here's the other thing that I don't think people realize. Just because you build a company over there doesn't mean that I, sitting in the United States, can't invest into that stock market and into that company. So please continue to invest overseas. I want everyone to build places and companies overseas. Please build up that economy so I can invest. I'm an investor. That's what I do. Right? That's what we do. You'd be a fool not to. It's emerging markets. Let me lend some ideas. But again, everybody invests internationally. So that we look at things from an international lens. At least I hope you see that. We looking at things from an international lens, especially when it comes to investing, right? But those are my 2 cents. That's my thoughts. I won't finish reading this article. I'm just putting it out there that it's not just happening in the United States, it's happening around the world. We've seen the situation. Is it Iran or is it Iraq? I think it's Iran with the hijab, with the women over there. They're rebelling against, the same regime. They're tired. I mean, I don't know how many times you're gonna slap somebody in the face before they get tired or they see somebody getting slapped in the face. People are human. You cannot keep slapping folks in the face and not expect for them to respond. Right? That's just what it is. If they don't respond with, taking themselves out, because some people do that, they're gonna respond in other ways. Right? You're gonna get the famous mud pie. You're gonna get the peach cobbler that's got something in it. Right? I'm just saying people are gonna respond, right? They just are. That's just what it is. We can act like that in a problem. All right, so back to what I was saying. The housing, right? We got a shortage of housing, work in progress. That substantial shortage of homes in the U.S. is a key driver to just the falling housing affordability, right? It says the Western housing shortages do not provide. Let me get it on the screen. Western housing shortages do not just prevent many from ever affording their home. They also drive inequality, climate change, low productivity growth, obesity, and even falling fertility rates. Right? And it's a video here. Let me see if I can play it. Okay. I don't think y'all can hear it though. So let me pull it. Let me put it on another screen. Let me put it on another screen. Is this Safari? I think this is Safari. No, that's not Safari. Let me pull Safari up. And let me pull this up. And then we'll play the video. It's a video. I don't think I gotta log in. Hold on. And it goes away. Awesome. All right, let me log in. Because it didn't come up. Oh, it's coming in now. I guess it needed time to render. But either way, let me log in. All right, it's coming in. Let me see where the video was at. US fertility rate, housing. I don't see the video now, like I do over here. All right. Y'all let me know if y'all can hear this. All right, let me know if y'all can hear it. Can y'all hear that? No, can't hear that. And it's not coming up over here on my thing. Let me see. Oh, I did the wrong one over there. All right.
There are a lot of challenges in the Western world right now. Economic growth has slowed. We're less productive than we ought to be. Some regions lag far behind others, and inequality has risen substantially. We're having fewer children than ever, fewer children than most people say they would like to have. More and more people are affected by obesity. Our cities have too much air and noise pollution, and our lifestyles are exacerbating climate change. We think we can create a better world, where productivity and wages rise because we work together more efficiently, where we walk more and drive less, and where we're more prosperous and healthier, all by addressing one problem: the scarcity of housing. It's what we call the housing theory of everything. Read more on Works in Progress.
So there's this whole website,
What if a lack of
working
housing?
in progress.co. I'll probably dive into that next week. But I wanted to bring that up because you're wondering like where you put your money at, right? We got 6.5 million in housing that we don't have, right? We're out of, we can't afford it, right? So people are forced to live where they can, right? So I pulled up some facts here because I like to focus on facts. I don't like to give you theory. I like to give you facts. The facts are here's the 2022, this is from 2022, housing underproduction in the US. And it goes through by state and shows you how much is underproduced in each state and who has the greatest underproduction in each state, right? Let me blow this map up, right? So here we're gonna start. It says housing underproduction occurs when communities fall short of meeting the housing need. Up for growth calculates the underproduction as the difference between total housing difference and total housing availability. So here is what their formula is right here. Let me blow this out some. Looks like you can see it. Housing underproduction, all right, the households plus missing household times 1.05, which is the one plus the target vacancy rate, right? So the target number of units of housing, the target number of housing units and the units that are renter or owner occupied, right? And this is equal to what the housing underproduction. 4 years ago, the nation's housing affordability problem appeared to be concentrated along the coast and the Southwest. Now the crisis has deepened and is more widespread, affecting urban, suburban, and rural areas and profoundly impacting residents in nearly every state. We also see this in Japan. I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, where Japan was paying people to move out of Tokyo and into the suburbs because there is a housing crisis and a mating crisis, a mating crisis in Japan. So they're paying people to move out of Tokyo, which is the largest city center, right? And then move them into the suburbs because those suburbs are dying off. They don't have enough population in those suburbs, and they were paying couples to have kids and also paying them to move into those areas. Because no, and then another thing, Tokyo has high prices, right? So they're like, look, we need to save Japan. China is going through the same thing as well too. It is it's worldwide. You would think that even though a actual the earth has 8 billion people that we would want to decline that, but what's happening is people are also we're not creating a working workforce. So after Gen X, not Gen X but Gen Z, they're concerned that there's not going to be enough people mating in order to create a working workforce. So what do you think is going to happen? There's one number one thing I'm telling you that's not going to happen. Companies are not going to sit by and lose money, right? They're not. Two, automation is going to be a key, but the people who know how to automate and the people who know how to create and solve the problems are the ones that are going to get paid. Manufacturing is coming back to the United States. There's not enough people to work in the plants in order to do the manufacturing, which is slowing the supply chain, which is slowing everything else, right? Which causes also prices to go up. So we got a number of problems that's going on. So you got to figure out within all this race, what do you want to be? Do you want to be the person that's solving the problem, or do you want to be the person that's working on the problems and helping the company solve it? I'm telling you, be the person that own the companies to help solve the problems. This is how you get the you we talk about reparations all the time, but this is your reparations. Solving these problems is your reparations, right? Yeah, China did have that one rule back then. Yep, yep, they just didn't have the foresight. Nope. Now they got the one rule, and now those the girls that they did have, they're like, we don't want to have them. Keep it. All right. So here we go. It says, and this is in the thousands. And if you look right here, it says empirical underproduction in 2019, where Texas, California, and Texas were really where it was underproduced. Now this is 2019. Now there's probably be an update to this coming out pretty soon. But again, this still is along those lines. We got 118 in Georgia, 289,000 in Florida. That's why you see a lot of people are still producing in Florida. Kansas had 5,000, Colorado 127,000. I'm just looking at the Arizona 123. I'm looking at these two colors here. Right, I'm looking at those colors. Georgia 118, Virginia 105, New York 234,000, Virginia 105. Um, they got DC right here 13, Maryland, New Jersey 137, Massachusetts 108. All right. It says the missing households because buying or renting a home has become so expensive, new households are failing to form. Instead, more unrelated people are choosing to share a single residence. Example, Washington, Arlington, and Alexandria, the DMV. I keep trying to say I don't understand how y'all live in the DMV and make it out for $40,000 and you live by yourself. I don't even see it. I've lived there twice. I don't even see it. I don't. Inefficient availability, lack of housing adequate to support a balanced housing market and absorb market fluctuations and demand preferences, like St. Louis. Inefficient availability, uninhabitable units, housing units that have been vacant for more than a year that do not contain a full functioning kitchen or indoor plumbing. These units are removed from the short term supply of housing as renovation costs are assumed to be cost prohibitive. Example, Detroit, Warren, and Dearborn, Michigan, right? So they go into here and they talk about the comparison of the regional drivers of underproduction. And in all these areas, we see housing, a lot of people into real estate in these areas, whether it's commercial, whether it's whether it's buying hotels or whether it's converting hotels into apartments and so forth. Trends in the underproduction. So let me blow this up some more. Oops, that's too big. Yeah, that's too big. All right, it says 72 markets that had an underproduction in 2012 have worsened 23% of the total. 83 markets that adequately produced in 2012 now have underproduction. 75 markets that adequately produced in 2012 are now trending towards underproduction. 11 markets that had underproduction in 2012 have reached adequate housing production, 3.6%. 14 of these markets that had underproduction in 2012 are in the process of recovering, only 4 or 5% of them. And 54 markets that adequately produced in 2012 have continued to meet or exceed the housing market needs through 2019. So this one right here, this is the new report is 6.5, right? The new report is 6.5. How do I know that? You just type in 6.5 million houses right here. Man, the global, the US market needs 6.5 million. So in 2019, we look at this, we had housing under production 3.79 in 4 years, from 3.79 to 6.5 million, right? From 2019 we were at 3.79, and now we're at 6.5 million, right? So it's getting worse. It's not getting better. So let me do that. Minus 379. So we need, from 2019 to now, we need about approximately about 2.7 million. I'm gonna just be fair and just round it up to 3 million. So we doubled in 4 years. So if the rate continues, and we expecting what, two more interest rates hikes this year is what we're expecting, and we probably won't recover to this year. We're it's still in recovery from 2022, because we took a beating in last year for in the trading market, right? And we're trying to recover out of that. So we can, I personally think, my own thought process is going to personally say, we're going to, in 4 years, let's see, we're in 2023 now. So in 2027, we're going to need at least um, approximately about 10 million homes. But if the birth rates are declining, maybe not, right? So we can be fair and say, let's take the 3 million, let's add maybe 2 million, right? Maybe 8 million, between 8 to 10 million, right? No one's making 40K and in the DMV living comfortably. I know it's not feasible. I know, right? I know it's not. But again, 6.5 million is this year's shortage. So if you think that being in real estate is not an option for you, like for you to buy a house, it could also mean, it could be an option to get into real estate and do wholesaling. It could be an option to help process loans. It could be an option to help in another world, if we want to look at it, to be the bank, to do small private lending, for people who are looking to fund and so forth. um, the other thing is education. Educate yourself on what your options are. That's how I'm gonna leave that, right? I did want to bring this up. 6.5 million homes. If you can get in on a network of people who can, and I'm just wondering, with the SVB, what the commercial real estate they gonna sell off. D Tim, what commercial real estate they gonna sell off? We can get our hands on, right? What commercial real estate they gonna sell off? We can get our hands on, right? All right. Those are my thoughts on that. So if you're wondering, like, if real estate is something to be in, yes, we see there's a shortage. That's where we're at. All right. So I have more, but I'm gonna do this one, and then I'm gonna do a couple of these, and then we're gonna get into petty tea time. Can't leave you without petty tea time. So I wanted to know, what was the average salary that you should be at by age? Because a lot of you have always asked, like, well, how can I make this and how can I make that? But what should be I'm not going to go over your average net worth. I'm going to say what your average salary or median salary should be by a certain age. This came out. This is DQY is the website, and it's posted United States brackets, the United States salary brackets by age for 2022. You'll find the average salary by age plus the median and the top 1% by age. Salary and wage incomes are the gross pre-tax before you put in your 401k earned between January and December of 2021. All right. So let's blow that out. All right. So it says the age is an excellent proxy for experience in most data sets. Generally, the longer you've been in a job career, the better you are in that job or career. While that's not a universal law, it's good practice to separate salary by age. The best summary stats for salary are the median salary by age, the average salary by age, and the top 1% salary by age. Right? It's all in how you work your 100. If you don't have access to, oh yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah, but there's other things that go on in with DC in the most of those apartments is it's not just the rent, it's the paying for the parking, it's the paying for the valet trash, it's the commute, it's the wear and tear, it's the tolls that you got to pay. So this is different things that happen there. All right, we will hit each summary in kind, but here's a quick visualization of the main summary breakout points. And it's small, you can hardly see it. Let me try to blow it up some. Right. So here's the breakdown. That's still small. Let me try to blow it up some more. Trying to get you to see this on the screen. I can't go no bigger than that. And it won't let me blow that picture out. But nevertheless, I'll give you the numbers. All right. It says here if you're at the age of 25 and in the top 10%, is 18,000. If you're in the top 25%, it's 26,000. The median is 40. If you're in the top 75%, it's 59,000. If you're in the top 90%, it's 80,000. If you're in the top 99%, it's 155,000. The average is 47,000. So if you're 25 and you're in the top 99%, you'll be around 140, 155. Most of our audience is probably anywhere from 25 to 55. But if you're 55, you're in the 10% making 23,000. If you are 45, you're in 10% making 25,000. If you are 35, you're in the 10% making 25,000. The 25% is 38,000 for 35, 45, and 55, and you're 65. Of course, they expect you to go low, right? It's 32,000. The median is 40 for 25. The median is 57.5 for 35, 60,000 for 45 and 55, and 56 for 65. Now, when you get up to the 75%, you are 90,000 for 35, 99,000 for 45. You're bringing in 95,000 at 55 or 84,000 at 65. When you're in the top 90%, you are 135,000 for 35, 150,000 for 45, 150,000 for 55. Not much difference between 45 and 55, and then 65, 125, right? And if you're in the top 99 percentile of 35, you're at 400 for 35, 45, and at 55, you are 500,000, and 65, you're at 300,000. So those that are retiring and you retire at 65 and you're retiring with 300,000 as your salary that you're bringing in, you're at the top 99%, right? It looks like the median is 56 and the median at that age is 68. So let me bring this back down so I can see the rest of the screen. All right. So here we go. They broke it down right here. I just wanted to go across it. Here it is right here. The table lists the median salary for age from 60 from 16 to 70 for United States in 2022. You can see right here they break it down by each age. They break it down by each age. I wanted y'all to have this so you can kind of gauge where you stand at, right? I want you to gauge where you stand at, right? When you're talking about if you're 49 at 60, 54 at 55, right? Let me come down here. What's the average salary by age in the United States? The average salary by age in the United States is you have 45 about 82,000. If you're 35 about 76,000. And then they go on say in this next table, I summarize the average salary for age, well, for every age from 16 to 70. So he broke down each age year. So I'm gonna scroll past that. And it says, what is the top 1% by age? So if you are 25 and you're making 155,000, you're in the top 1%. If you're 35, 45, you're in the top 1%. If you're at the age of 55 and making 500, you're in the top 1%. And then at the age of 65, if you're 300, you're in the top 1%, right? So, what does that mean? Why do you care? You should. You should care because of tax brackets. You should care because of the income you're able to save and have working for you versus you working for the income. These are things that I try to promote and try to get you all to understand. We need as many people in this range here as possible. um People are like, well, you don't need to make that much money. Well, here's the question. Here's always my question is, even though you say you don't need, the question is, why would you not want to? Why would you not want to have as much money as you can make working for you, right? More money you bring in and have working for you, the easier it is for you to retire and go do other things, or for you to help out others, or you to do whatever, right? So 200K and 300K are outliers. I see a lot of people making those ranges. Yeah, I think anywhere from 150 to 300K in tech is probably like a standard if you're in the right field of tech. Just my thoughts. If you're in DevSecOps, if you're in data engineering, if you're in anything AI, security, cloud security, container security, Kubernetes, I think that's where you've been at. Hubby is also in the top 1%, but he also at his peak according to this chart. Yeah, and I think there is a peak that happens in tech. I think there is a peak that happens, which is why a lot of people probably stayed at Facebook and Google in those companies for so long, because they probably knew that going somewhere else they may or may not get the money, and they was just comfortable where they're at. That's just my personal thoughts, right? All right, it says remember to be appropriately skeptical with the top 1% salaries. By definition, fewer people earn up here, and that distribution isn't as well behaved. And so they kind of go through this right here: 27 at 200,000, 35 at 350, right? 49 at 320, 48 at 300, 45 at 500. And it start to decline, right? They kind of start to decline, and it's like as you peak at 500 at 45, and then you start declining. It's what it's showing here. That's what it's showing. You maybe 68, you may be 560, but I'm assuming at 68 you're retired and you're drawing down money, right? You're drawing down some income on that. My warning in the income age post applies here too. To smooth over the spikes, look at a few adjacent ages to get a feel. Don't take one age as the correct value for what it's worth. It says income versus salary. Salary is what you earn from your job, from a job, your wage income. Income is a much more expansive set of ways to earn money. Here, think business, investment, interest, rent, etc. It says they specialize in DQYDJ. Find they specialize in income. They said find all our posts here on income, including household income and individual income. Salary by age summary for the United States. Want a bit more resolution? Check out the salary percentile by age calculator for the full picture. And then they also have the past years as well too. And then they said how what they used and how they broke down things in order to come up with this for 2022, right? Here is their salary percentile by age. I'm just gonna click on it. Um, Here they're saying, okay, you want your salary. Let's say you're age 30, and then they do a calculate. Let me see. Oh, it just gave me a number. It didn't say estimated percentile and age and number. It didn't give me my thing. It just gave me a number here. But it did show this on average. It says about 66,000. Right. And they got other stuff here. They break it down, but I can shoot this to D. You all can play around with this and get some stuff for yourself. I just wanted to give you something to give you an idea of like, well, what happens if what a what where should I be at on average, right? Most people want to know where they should be at on average. I guess growing up comfortable having a father that was a provider, I always had my needs met financially, so I've learned to live a middle class lifestyle. That's cool. It makes sense. I'm always afraid of our salaries going down. Yeah, but I mean, I think you all invest. So if the salaries did go down, I'm assuming that making the assumption that the investments would take over at some point for and compensate for some of the from that salary lost, right? Let me see. I didn't want to talk about this one. All right, so damn, I still want to get into petty T. All right, I posted in Slack in our Slack group the 50 black owned banks. I also want to post this. I'll post this in Slack. The black owned investment firms. So you all can have these investment firms. What is an investment firm? An investment firm is a company that collects capital from various investors and that reinvests in a pool of capital in financial securities like equity, debt, various money markets, and various money market instruments. So investment companies can fall into closed end funds, mutual funds, and investment trusts, right? So here are 10 black owned investment firms, and I'm going to start out. Let me kind of make this a smaller for me to read. All right, here we go. So Bay Street Capital, Advent Capital Management, Ariel Investments. Everybody know who our Ariel Investments is, right? We already know who that is, right? Bronze Venture Fund, Brown Capital, Channing Capital Management, Gen NX 360 Capital Properties, Pew Capital Management, Vista Equity. You should know who Vista Equity is, and you should know Ariel. Y'all should know those two. Williams Capital Group, and then the pros and cons of investment funds and so forth. I just want to give you those groups. Um, and let me cancel that one. Let me do this. And then we're gonna get into some petty T real quick. I could be real petty this morning, but I'm not. Black Investor Group Redemption Holding Company makes historic acquisition of non-minority commercial bank. It came out February 28th. Salt Lake City, Utah, Redemption Holding Capital announced today its agreement to purchase the Utah-based Holiday Bank and Trust, marking the first time in American history that an existing commercial bank will become a Black-owned minority institution. All right, so there are a couple of streams on YouTube where, and I've said this before, if you ever want to start having black owned companies, go purchase companies that are already existing. Of course, you're gonna have to go over their P&L. Of course, you're gonna have to do your due diligence to make sure that the company is worth the purchase, and also you have the capital and the reserves, and you have a plan to bring that company forward, right? But a lot of companies, you don't have to start from scratch. You can go out and buy existing companies. So this is where partnerships and money comes into play, making your money work for you, having partnerships and so forth. Sometimes you have to, just flat out use your own money and make the purchase. But if you use your own money, you want to recoup your money. So you're going to make sure that you have a plan to recoup your money and make that effective in order to do those things. And sometimes you can leverage the SBA loans in order to do those things, right? So don't be without, right? Don't sit there and be without. Um, do I want to talk about that? Let me see. Let me look. I may or may not. Let me look and see what this title is. I forget what this is. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about this. So this is perfect. All right. It goes in line on what I said before. Here we go. Some of you all don't even have any money for retirement. Some of y'all don't have money for retirement. This is a 2-minute video, and then we're going to roll right into petty tea.
Now to our continuing series, Retirement Ready. If you have access to a 401k or traditional pension in your job, consider yourself to be lucky.
Oops.
Nearly 57 million Americans work for an employer that does not offer a retirement savings plan.
There we go.
Tonight, CBS's Janet Shanlin takes a look at some of the consequences.
You guys are trying to get away.
A walk with Rosie and Logan is a rare break for Marianne O'Connor.
The puppies.
Then she's back on her laptop, juggling 2 jobs, sometimes up to 11 hours a day.
What did you think you'd be doing at 66?
Oh, I would hope to be retired.
And what are you doing at 66?
I'm working my butt off.
No savings, no 401k, not even enough to cover an emergency. She sold her home and with 2 other women bought a smaller one, living together to save money.
How has that been?
Well, it's been a matter of life and death.
Roughly half of all Americans ages 55 to 66 have nothing saved for retirement.
I see that.
O'Connor knew she'd be in that group, adopting and raising 3 children as a single mom.
I have a live for now philosophy, I guess.
How's that serving you now?
Oh, it's horrible.
You can always improve your situation.
For her and others without a nest egg, experts say it's not too late to make a plan. Continue to work, lower your cost of living, save what you can, delay Social Security benefits until 70 to get the largest monthly check possible, and avoid risky investments to make up for lost time.
The higher the promised returns, the more you want to do in real research.
To enjoy her senior years, O'Connor's gotten creative,
Nice to not be alone.
forming the trip planning company Kindred Women Travelers, allowing her to see a slice of the world, even if she's on the job while doing it.
What would you say to younger women?
I guess I would now say that they need to start planning as early as they can.
Financial challenges for many, tarnishing the golden years of retirement.
Yes, I know.
Janet
You need to
Shanley,
get rid of
CBS
them
News,
dogs.
Cumberland, Rhode Island.
That's first thing first. You need to get rid of them dogs. I'm sorry. You ain't got no money. You need to get rid of them dogs. I'm just saying, whatever.
Retirement is the final chapter
Whatever.
of the American dream.
Y'all can cuss me how y'all want to in the chat. She need to get rid of them dogs. I'm just saying. That's what I'm going. She don't have to let Fifi and Gigi go. Ain't nothing happening. All right, let me see. I forget which one this one is.
At 6, LaSalle
Okay, let's talk about this right here. Petty tea time. All right, petty tea. Petty tea. All right. Petty tea. All right. The LaSalle University student bought a Tesla after stealing 547 in a credit card scam. Hold up, Tan Water Dog. You can't afford. You ain't got the answer, Sway. Look, hey, listen. She keep the dogs, okay? But this is what my point. Go back to what I said. If you got roaches, if you got if you got ants, if you got dogs, they all need an Instagram. They need to be having the dogs on there. Like, in fact, they need to have the dogs. Let me pull up my girl. Can I pull up my girl? Can I pull up my girl? Let me see if she got a YouTube. Like this one. This how they need to have her out here, Miss Sunday, like Miss Sunday. Miss Sunday I got a whole clip. Look at it. Look at Miss Sunday, the UPS worker. Look at Miss Sunday. Miss Sunday gotta. Miss Sunday is out here working. Everybody need to work in that house with them ladies. Them dogs need a channel. Look at Miss Sunday. Look at Miss Sunday. The lunch lady. Look at Miss Sunday. Look at Miss Sunday. I need to find my other one. I had to pull it up on my Instagram. Miss Sunday. Is this it? Oh yeah, here it is right here. Getting her nails done. Dogs and she walking them dogs. She should have somebody walk on the dogs so she can work that extra hour. That's what she needs. Miss Sunday over here, she got a whole Instagram. She got a whole page. Look at it. Getting a bath. Miss Sunday is working. All right. So that's why the dog free. That's what the dogs need to be doing. All right, let's get into the credit card scam. Let's go. Petty tea time.
University student accused of stealing more than $500,000 in a credit card scam. Good evening. I'm Paula Eben. David is off tonight.
I'm Lisa Hughes. Police say she used the money to buy some high-end items before making a critical mistake. WBZ's Brandon Truitt explains how investigators cracked this case.
Greed took over. I don't know how else you would classify it.
Police say 19-year-old Ariel Foster embezzled hundreds of thousands of dollars from her part-time job. Arrested Wednesday night in front of her dorm room at LaSalle University, where she ran track. The teenager accused of shaking down this Lovisa at the Burlington Mall. The jewelry store lists most of their items for under $50. Burlington police say Foster was doing fake transactions, marking items up in price, then returning them for the original price while pocketing the difference in account of her own. Customers were never involved. She acted alone. Police say for 3 weeks in February, Foster made 8 fake transactions totaling more than $540,000.
When I first saw the amount, I was surprised. I thought it was a mistake.
Police say over the course of those 3 weeks, Foster spent $5,000 on a Louis Vuitton purse, $6,000 on plane tickets, and $20,000 for a hotel in Maui. Her shopping spree ended with the purchase of a Tesla for $35,000. Here it is, now in the custody of Burlington police. Police tell me Foster got loose with her work and rang up an order for $1 million, but never cleared it out. A coworker saw the amount and then notified them. LaSalle University tells us they are cooperating with police, saying the responsibility of all students to comply with local, state, and federal laws applies both on and off campus.
If one of my children came home and said, hey, they have enough money to buy a Tesla while they're trying to go to school, that's certainly going to raise those flags for me.
So Foster posted bail. She's set to be arraigned tomorrow in Woburn District Court. Police are now working to figure out exactly how much of the money they can recover. Brandon Truitt, WBZ News.
Information about a LaSalle University student accused of running a scam to steal close to $1 million. Police say this may not have even been the first time she's done it. WBZ's Christina Hager is live tonight in Newton, where the suspect went to college. And Christina, Ariel Foster did appear in court today, correct?
Yes, and
who's gonna bail her out? How much time you think they're gonna give her? 5 years? 2? 3? What you thinking? I told you it was petty. I got plenty of petty. She was 19. She was trying to live that lifestyle. I wonder what her Instagram looked like. All right, I forget which one this one is too.
Now to our continuing series, Retirement Ready. With high inflation.
I don't want to talk about that. I could have. I don't want to talk about it. I know what that one is. I don't want to talk about it. All right, let's go. So, I don't know if y'all saw this. A driver spent $180,000 to start an Uber Black business, and then the company deactivated his account. You want to talk about it? Here you go. Let's talk about it. Here we go. All right, so let's go. And let's get into it. All right, so Uber reverses its decision and reactivates the driver account after being contacted by MarketWatch. So that's the follow-up. So they reversed the decision. So this must have been the update right here, because it was updated. It was updated this morning. March the 11th. So it got updated this morning. So on the 10th, let's go look. All right. All right, Miguel, Aberu, a ride-hailing driver, bought a Chevy Tahoe for $80,000 last summer. He spent $10,000 getting a commercial license and hiring an accountant to set up a luxury Uber Black business. Then bought a Mercedes for $90,000 and lined up another driver for the vehicle. All right. So what I'm seeing is he's buying these high-end cars, and then he's looking to have them make these payments. Now, if you bought a Chevy Tahoe this year and a Mercedes between this year and last year, his APR, that's first off, his APR got to be at least anywhere from 4 to 6%, and even more if he's doing it under a business. So he may be getting hit with 6 to 10% APR on these. So they're gonna have to drive. They're gonna have to drive. They're gonna have to drive. I'm just saying. And this is my own personal experience. All right, so Aberu of Lynn, Massachusetts, told Market Watch that the company kicked him off the app permanently because it suspected he was splitting his account, meaning two people were driving for one account. Well, isn't that true? Well, isn't that true? Isn't that what he was doing? Isn't that true? Right. I say one day Uber asked Aberu to prove he was at the airport, so he sent a photo of himself. He was then told the photo's metadata showed him being somewhere else. Turn the location off when you take the picture. Turn the location off when you take the picture. Okay? Turn the location off when you take these pictures, right? Let me this petty is it's gonna be petty. Let's go. All right. So it was then told that the photos metadata showed he was somewhere else. That somewhere else was on an island unreachable by a car. Pointing to an obvious mistake, he said, yet after 7 years of driving for Uber, he found his account deactivated. Abreu tried to plead his case a few times by going to the company's office in Massachusetts. They was like, bro, no. How could that be? Abreu said. He told Uber, you know, I'm an Uber Black driver. I bought this expensive car. I got a commercial license. I shouldn't be deactivated. Uber Black is the company's premium service, which among other things requires drivers to have higher ratings, commercial licenses, and newer cars, and lets its passengers reserve rides up to 30 days in advance. Aru is just one of the many drivers who face deactivations by gig companies like Uber at any moment. The issue is common and widespread enough that some states, such as New York, New Jersey, and Washington, have enacted laws that include provisions of deactivation process. It is mentioned in a proposed ordinance in Chicago as in a proposed legislation in Massachusetts, the only state in the nation that conducts an additional background check for drivers in addition to one carried out by ride-hailing companies, and that also can play a role in deactivations if it deems it's necessary, right? It said Abreu said that a person in the Uber office told him that he had sent an appeal and that it had been insufficient to reopen his account, but he hadn't actually sent an appeal. He said, "I left Uber office pretty unhappy. I invested so much in this effort, so I went back to Uber the next day. I was so dumbfounded. I asked them to please check everything." He said they tried to figure out what else could have contributed to his deactivation. The 42-year-old native of the DR had recently became a U.S. citizen, might have something to do with it. Nah, bro, don't no, don't even try it. I was from the DR, and you took a picture, you sent it over. Your metadata showed that you was on the island. You had the other driver take the picture. They sent it to you. You uploaded it to the account. It ain't it, bruh. Nah. Yeah, again, it is the male version of living the soft life. Spotlight, big stage, 50,000 fans screaming in a rage. Bodyguard, limousine. This is the way I see you in my dream. Paparazzi flash. Hey, nah, he was on the island. He was on the island. Stop it. I'll be your. Hey, that's what he was doing. Stop it. He said, he could have done a medical transport, anything. Nah, he's trying to live a soft life. The woman who showed me all the information Uber had said it had to be a mistake because the photo indicated you were on an island where cars can't go. Abreu County. The woman said she asked for the decision about his account to be reconsidered. He said after a week he went back to the office and was told his deactivation was final and permanent. Not long after that, he gave up on contacting Uber. He had also driven for Lyft, so he continued doing that. This week, MarketWatch asked Uber for comment about Aburu's situation. Within 2 days, a spokesperson said the company had reversed its decision to deactivate him, which appeared to be based on a suspicion of fraud. We approach any deactivation decision with caution and consideration. Drivers are also able to appeal eligible deactivations, which include submitting additional evidence. We're committed to listening to the drivers. Bruce said he was able to return driving on the Uber app the same day and plans to restart his Uber Black business. He had to sell his Mercedes after his account was deactivated. I bet you did. He took a loss, but he plans on buying a less expensive vehicle and find another driver for that one. Now, I have questions about it when you get the commercial. I don't know all the deets on it. I have to look that up. I'm assuming the commercial you can have it. What's going on, Brown Foxy? How you doing? They said, but the plan is to buy a less expensive car because it has been months since Bruce deactivation. He said the driver he had previously lined up to drive for his business, essentially becoming his partner and sharing earnings, as he provides the vehicle and commercial insurance, had to find another job. While Abreu expressed gratitude about being reactivated, he said what happened to him was arbitrary and calls for action. He said he will continue to support his fellow drivers in pushing for proposed legislation in Massachusetts. What happened to me shouldn't happen to anybody else. We need protections. So that is my petty tea. Now I have other petty tea, but we don't have time for all of the other petty tea that I have. Well, I will say this though. Let me pull it up over here. Let me pull up the other petty tea that I have. I'm gonna pull it up right here. Because my guy was going in this week. My guy was going in this week. The guy we looked at last week, he was going in this week. Right? This one right here. We spend 98% of what we make, but we refuse to change our lifestyle. If you thought he was going off on old girl, you need to look at that one. Maybe we do a missing one. Maybe I'll do a private show and we'll do this one. We'll do a review of this one. They spend 98% of what we make, but we refuse to change our lifestyle. And then the other one, with the couple where the lady take the credit card of the guy. Did I pull that up for y'all? Let me pull that up. That's a good one too. Go to videos. Where is it? Spending. I go to food stamps, 20%. Is this them? Nah, that's not them. It's another one where the guy was like, I can't help but spend money. This is a good one too. They reamed her in the comments. I'm $450,000 in debt, and she still wants me to treat her to dinner. And this is part two of it. They gave her a tongue lashing in the comments on this one right here. There's like she make more than him right now, but I think he going to med school and then he'll eventually make more. But there's like she could pay for something. Right? You can see it right here. Am I the only person who felt that Serena was only willing to consider changing because she knew Nate would eventually be earning more money? What if Nate wasn't a resident? Obviously, this isn't the focus of the show, but it seemed like Ramit had to continuously refocus her on Nate would eventually be earning $300,000 to get her to be less selfish. She should be okay with splitting 65-30 with no expectation of him ever earning money. it's presented as I'm only doing this business because I know I'm gonna come out on top. The fact that she settled at 60-40 and said she wanted to be generous tells me she still doesn't get it. She learned that she was being messed up and but still wanted to make sure she was winning. I'm disgusted. I'm not trying to be nasty or belittle these people, but I cannot fathom treating someone who you love this way. I truly wish her mindset changes. Again, she was like, I'm dating you not I'm dating you on the potential that you're gonna be a doctor and we still gonna be together. And if I'm gonna put all this money and effort into it, then I need to be rewarded for for my time and effort. Oh, but yes, these are the things that I like to go over because we also have this false sense of like, what is it like to date someone who has potential, or what does it look like in a marriage where two people are earning high incomes and they're still afraid to spend or they don't have any savings, right? So to show you the other side, what we show you the single side, but let's show you the side about being married, right? And how and what tools and things you can use to work inside your marriage or partnership or whatever in order to do these things. Don't say you don't have no comment now. I'm gonna play the beginning of this one because I think this one is actually absolutely funny. Now this is Safari. Hold on, I need to put this in Safari. Yeah, right here. All right, I'll play the beginning of this one and we'll get out of here. I'll play about 5 minutes.
And she's retired. She wants to travel. She wants to spend some of that money. He does not. Now, for
every back it up because it's not getting the beginning. Here we go.
Every time he'd sit there and say, God, I wish I'd win the lottery. And I'm like, well, we kind of have. And we still wish we could win the lottery.
Each month I'm putting money away. That's how my mind works. It's like, that's how you get by shit. Yet I realize there are times that I do feel like I control things too much. And that's probably a huge downfall for me. And it's stupid. She's not doing anything wrong. But this is how I react to myself. I get worked up over stupid ass stuff.
Okay. And do you want that relationship the way it is now, or do you want to change it?
I want to change it, but I worry. I worry that if I'm not in control, then...
Well, I didn't ask about the but. I just asked if you want to change it.
Yeah, a little bit.
And that's probably my biggest fear about retiring is that I'm not going to have my own money anymore. We're not going to spend any money now because he feels like we don't have the double income. And by the time we can spend money when we're older, I won't want to travel as much. And we're saving for Tom to live to 100 is what we're doing. We're totally saving for Tom to live to 100. I want to do stuff now.
Meet Tommy and Caroline. Tommy's 60, Caroline's 56. This is their second marriage, both of them. And they've been married for 6 years. The reason they came to me is that Tommy is having trouble spending. And because Caroline is just about to retire from a very stressful job, this has become a very pressing topic. What are they going to do when he continues to work and she's retired? She wants to travel. She wants to spend some of that money. He does not. Now, for everybody listening and watching on YouTube, I want to encourage you to treat this episode like a crystal ball. You have the chance to see into your future and to see what it might look like if you accumulate a bunch of money, but you don't necessarily know how to spend it. So for those of you listening to the I Will Teach You Be Rich podcast, or for those of you watching it on YouTube, I welcome you to this episode of Tommy and Caroline.
I need to chill because I think we're in a really good position. Caroline's retiring this March, and I'm so excited for her because she's got a super stressful job. I know we can make it work, yet I freak out too much.
All right, so I'm gonna give you the title of this one, right? You see it up here. We have 6.3 million. Why can't we take a vacation? They got 6.3 million, but they can't take a vacation. And he's afraid for her to spend money. So this is the other side, right? I showed you sides where people are struggling just trying to make it last week with 250,000. And then let's show you the side where they got money and they still don't spend. And he's still like, I want something to change, but yeah, right? So does she divorce him? Does she divorce him? Do they divorce each other? Do they stay? Do they stay and do they be miserable? What's the outcome? What do you do when you have something of this nature? So let's get to the first 5 minutes of it.
I freak out when I see all these Amazon purchases and I question why it's happening. Perfect example. Caroline decides to buy a pair of headphones that we already have a wired pair of headphones. And I know it's stupid because it's probably like a $20 or $30 purchase, but my mind just says, hey, we already have it. I need to let go of that kind of shit. I know I do, because she's doing nothing wrong, nothing. But I get worked up on that.
When you say, Tommy, that you freak out, tell me exactly what happened.
It just kind of, nothing was said to her, but I just inside, I internalized by saying, why did she do that? There's no reason for that. I wouldn't have done that, so why does she do that? And it's stupid. She's not doing anything wrong, but this is how I react to myself. I get worked up over stupid ass stuff.
Okay. Caroline, do you remember that headphone situation?
Well, yeah, I could tell because he kind of rolls his eyes or he tries to control the situation. He'll say, we don't need it. It's a good thing I did buy him because we would be in bad shape right now if I didn't buy him because the ones that he had didn't work.
That's one. What else?
What was something that you just bought that's, oh, okay, she's probably gonna get mad at me on this. She was telling me on a walk that she just purchased a cool dress that she really liked, that she, for an upcoming wedding. Don't know when that wedding would be, but it'd be a cool dress. Yet she also confided by saying that, yeah, don't know if I'll really be able to wear it or fit into it, or maybe it won't work for this particular wedding. And it just blows my mind. Why would you buy something when you don't know for sure that it's doable?
It was $600.
Okay. And where did that money come from? Which account?
My account.
Your personal account?
Yes.
Okay. How long have you been married for?
Yeah, I took $600 of my money and I would have bought a dress because I thought that it, be great for a wedding. Why would she go do that? She doesn't even know. Okay, she put it on Etsy, recoup some of the money, and let's keep it pushing, right? In his mind, he is like, she's going to spend us into the poorhouse. In her mind, she's like, I worked. We have put into these contributions. Here is 6.3 million. I don't know if she came to the table with 2 million or 4 million, or he came to the 2 million with 2 million or 4 million. It is grown. I don't know. We'll get a breakdown. They'll break it down here. But this is just to give you some insights on how some people think, right? There are some women that be like, what the hell you going to buy that for? You don't need that. That's a waste. Take that back. We don't need that. Take that back. Tracy, he's stressing you out. Down to earth said he looks uptight with everything. If she retires, that's what she's saying. Like, if I retire, I'm 56, I want to retire. She was like, and I got the money that we got saved up to live off of. She was like, I ain't gonna have no peace. Like I tell y'all all the time, y'all be like, men want peace. Women want peace too. We want peace too. We want peace too. Shit. Don't come crying to me about $20 headphones. All right, don't we want peace too. All right, let's get back to it.
5 years.
7 years.
Well, known each other for 7, married 5.
Okay. All right. You guys want to get your story straight on how long you've been married for?
Well, we met 2013. We got married in 2017.
That's 9 years.
No, 2017.
We've known each other for 9 years. We've been married since 2017.
Isn't that 5? Am I doing my math wrong?
It's 5.5, so almost 6 years.
When we got married, it was my opportunity. I was like, listen, babe, let's start fresh. Let's just do our wedding anniversary and birthdays. We can't do like the first date and the first time our parents met. It was just too much. I said, let's just start fresh. So maybe that's what's going on here.
Yeah.
All right. So you've been married somewhere in the neighborhood of less than 10 years, whatever the number is.
Yes.
Okay. Is this a first marriage for both? Second?
Second for both of us.
Second for both. Okay, great.
Notice a few things already. When Tommy describes himself as freaking out, I ask him to get really specific with his behavior. A lot of people use the word freaking out to describe all kinds of things. Some people use it to describe losing their temper and screaming at their partners. Other people use the same phrase for the very mundane, like they sit in their heads and they wonder, is that worth it? I really do not like the phrase freaking out. In my opinion, it is never descriptive, and I find that people who use this phrase tend to start to treat it almost like a comfort blanket. They'll just shrug and say, I started to freak out. I can't help it. I don't know. That's just me. I freak out. No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to use inflammatory phrases and then laugh it off as just this quirky little thing. I just freak out. No, we're going to get specific with the attitudes and behaviors that we use when it comes to money. And then we're going to specifically dig to see if we can rebuild those.
Put in the chat. Put in the chat when he said he freak out. Put in the chat that he cuss her out. Put a 1 in the chat if you think he cuss her out. Put a 2 in the chat if you think he just walk over to her and just look at her. Like he say he just roll out. But how many of y'all think he cuss her out? I personally think he cuss her out. He looked like the cussing out type of guy. What the frick you go buy them headphones for? What the hell? You just think he look at an engineering cannabis? You being facetious. Nah, I think he go over and cuss her out. And you can look at his face because he is like he's stern. And she looking like, I hope he don't say the wrong thing on this podcast. I hope he don't say the wrong thing on this podcast. Please don't let him say the wrong thing on this podcast because everybody's going to be hearing it. he be like, what the frick you going to do that for? What you going to buy them headphones for? We already have them. Did you spend $30? Well, shit, you got 6.3 million, and I work. So, let's get back to it.
Habits so they can start to serve you.
So when you initially got married, when was the first time you talked about money in a serious way?
Caroline, I'd say the first time we talked about it was we discussed that it'd be beneficial to us to have a joint account and each one of us have our own separate accounts that are the accounts that we had. And that way it wouldn't be, oh, I'm going to nitpick your spending and vice versa.
No, what it was, she had millions, he had millions. There was like, ain't no need to commingle these assets before marriage because by law, if we commingle and you decide you want to dip, the things that I had worked up for before we get married, you can get half of that, right? So premarital assets matter. Premarital assets matter. Don't go hopping, go run and jump on his bank account and don't be running, hopping and let him Let him hop on your bank account. Premarital assets matter. I don't care what they sitting out here on this internet telling y'all to put y'all accounts together and be all that. Premarital assets matter. And this is just my reference and my point of thumb. This is just my reference and a point. When you get married, you don't get one 401k. You get a 401k for you, and you get a 401k for him, and you all keep that shit separate. You don't get married and you just combine 401ks. They ain't how it work. Now, what some people do is we get married and they have one 401k that has more investments and they just invest into that one 401k, and that the wife or whoever, could be husband, contributes to that one 401k to help the pot grow quicker. But again, there's no marital 401k. I just want to point that out from the government. The government don't even have that. Just point that out. Get back to it.
Then again, I hardly ever spend anything. And I think that so far that's worked out really well.
Caroline, what do you recall about the first time you talked seriously about money?
Yeah, same thing. We were going to do a joint account and we were going to contribute a certain amount of money. And then if we could afford trips, we'd take trips or, stuff like that. So yeah, we definitely had our separate, which I would definitely need. And that's probably my biggest fear about retiring is that I'm not going to have my own money anymore. I'm going to have to sort of rely on like going into, I guess, our money, but it's more Tom contributing than me contributing. So yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable probably.
And how far off is retirement for you?
March 31st.
In a few months. Okay, wow. Early congratulations. That's cool.
Yes, thank you.
All right. So when you describe your feelings about retirement, are they positive or negative?
I'm negative only.
I thought she was going to have a heart attack. Did you catch that? I thought she was going to have a heart attack. He's retiring in a few years. He's going to continue to work. I thought she was going to have a heart attack. I was like, don't let the lady die on the screen.
In the sense that I planned on working longer. It's just my job's too stressful. I work for a company that was bought and they got rid of people and just, made other people do more than they normally have to do. And it's just too stressful. I can't do it anymore. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. How would...
Now, hold on. She got a stressful job and she can't spend $20. Ooh, Tracy, you say don't retire. Girl, don't retire. I don't know. I'd say this is a stressful one. Let's go.
Describe the two of you in terms of money. Like, Caroline, if you had to describe Tommy in a word or two when it comes to money, what words come to mind for you?
Conservative.
Mm-hmm. What else?
I don't want to be mean. I mean, I think he's kind of cheap. I think, yeah. I mean, I know that if I want to, if we look at boats, and we bought a boat for our lake house, I knew, it had to be reasonable. There was no way, there's some boats out there that are, $60,000, $100,000. There was no way. Even though we probably could afford it, there's no way. It's not even an option.
How much did your boat end up costing?
Bought a used boat for $18,000.
Okay. I don't know anything about boats. In the grand scheme, is that
gotta be an old Yamaha 2-seater. That got a pontoon, whatever. That gotta be $18,000 for a boat used. Nah, that's an older boat too. He probably was like, this is all we need. We just want to go out here and sit on the water and look. We just want to go out here and sit on the water and look. We don't want to do much. We ain't diving. We ain't having no pool. We ain't having no boat party. We don't even like people like that. We just going out here to this water and sit out here and look. Dion stupid talking about he bought a kayak. Matching kayaks, Dion, you stupid.
Cheap, expensive for your area and your place of living?
I'd say it's cheap. Yeah.
All right, here's something I want to throw by you, Ramit.
Okay.
Here's a perfect example of how my mind works. I'm always like competing with myself. We got gas. I filled up the car the other day. I was so pissed at myself. A couple miles down the road, I got it. I could have gotten it for 12 cents less per gallon.
Tommy, this cannot be really happening right now.
Another incident.
Come on. Did it involve strawberries? Tell me.
We're getting Yellowstone, okay? We want to get the 5th season of Yellowstone.
Okay, it's a good show.
I went ahead and bought it.
You bought the HD version.
No, hell no.
Okay, I never do that either. That's a waste of money. I'm never going to.
And then I find out my son said, hey, Daddy-o, you already have it on YouTube TV. Why didn't you ask me? I'm pissed at myself.
For $40. I mean, it's not even worth it. I mean,
how come he didn't say something? Or how come I didn't check it out? I thought I did. It's not funny.
How much sleep did you lose over that one, Tommy?
I probably did. I know it's stupid, but that's how I deal with stupid shit like that.
Tommy is doing this interesting thing here where he's pre-apologizing. Have you noticed it? It's like walking into the room after you've done something and going over the top with your apologies. I know I shouldn't have done that. I'm terrible. I just can't do anything right. I'm sorry. 1 apology is good. 2 is better. 10 starts to feel disingenuous. I want you to be aware of this because it might be a real acknowledgement of contrition, or it might be a strategy. Sometimes it's actually an unconscious strategy that people use, but it is a strategy nonetheless.
So let's give the other perspective. So the other perspective of this is it causes the other person who is the spouse to become scared to even enjoy being out with their friends or being or even coming home with a package. There's no spontaneity, right? There's no, hey, I want to go get him a nice pair of shoes for the boat. She can't do that because he's going to be like, I don't need no shoes for the boat. Why would you go buy those shoes? And she was like, babe, you deserve it. I want us to have this little matching little cute outfit for our little boat ride, our little picnic Sunday for us, And he's like, no, what's wrong with the shoes? I don't even need no shoes in the boat anyway. We're going to take them off anyway. So why you go buy the shoes, right? Or why you go buy this outfit? It causes a distrust is more my point. It causes a distrust, right? It causes a distrust. And it's not a distrust of like, I don't trust you to do it. It causes a distrust of like, I can't trust you with how I feel. I can't. And he has a distrust of her. Like if she go to the mall, he probably locking card limits down unless she has her own card. He's probably locking card. He seems like he call and be like, any purchases over $100 needs to be a phone call. So, I just want to put that out of what the other side. We have all this money, but then there's the other side that's a actual trust side when we're looking at this, right? All right, let's go.
Personally, I find Tommy really likable, but I'm starting to get a little suspicious of the number of times he's apologized in just the first few minutes of talking. But really, I have no idea. It's just a guess right now. Let's pay attention to what he says and how he says it.
And the other thing that may seem whacked, but I just have this feeling I'm going to live a long time, like to at least 100. And I'm not saying this as bragging. I just feel I'm going to live a long time. I want to make sure that I don't have to be a burden to anyone. Never do I want my kids or anyone to worry about me.
How many kids do you have, Tommy?
3.
Okay, how old are they?
Oh, they're old. They're 34, 33, and 30.
All right. And how are they doing?
Successful. They're
Great.
all fine.
Okay, great. Do you anticipate them needing your financial help in their lives?
No.
Tommy, we spoke on the money coaching call. That was a lot of fun. So you raised your hand and we had a conversation in our money coaching group. Tommy, do you recall the conversation that we had?
That I don't believe a lot what you had to say in terms of kind of convincing me that we are good financially, and that if I wanted to, I remember talking about I want to take a trip to New Zealand.
All right, you got to hear this clip. I was doing a Q&A with my money coaching group members, and I saw Tommy's question, and I knew I had to take it. Listen in. All right, Tommy, if you are here, Tommy, please unmute because
Oh, hold on. I want to address this. Heather, you said they didn't have a choice but to be successful. Well, no, they had a choice. They had a choice. They could have went and got on drugs. They could have gone down the rabbit hole and blew through whatever savings or whatnot. They had a choice. They had a choice. They had a choice. They could be like, we still live at home with our mom and our dad. Right? They had a choice though. He said he got a whole wife and worried about his kids taking care of him. Exactly. Again, that's what this goes back to what I said. The trust. It's something going on with the trust there. It's something about her he don't trust. Because he's talking about his kids taking care of him. His wife should be the one that's taking care of him, but he's talking about trust with her. Like it's something has happened, right? And what was the significance of them getting together? Why did they get married? They could have just been partners, right?
I want to talk to you about this question. It's so good. Tommy says, I just turned 60. My wife is retiring this April. I've been self-employed for over 34 years. I will continue to work because I enjoy it. My wife has worked her ass off and she wants to spend. I would love to know how much I need to budget each month so I can chill. Can you help me? 2 question marks. Okay, Tommy, please, are you on this call?
I'm here.
Oh, okay, Tommy, my man. First of all, I love that you put save in all caps. It must really be on your mind. Why do you like to save?
I don't know. It's like competitive. It's like the more I save, the better I'll be. And
I want y'all to pay attention to the backgrounds of these houses and stuff that they're in, right? The house that they're in and so forth. She looked like she's sitting on a ball because she's bouncing. It looked like she's sitting on a ball and sitting in front of the camera in the bedroom. That's what it looked like to me. She's sitting on a ball. I pay attention to stuff like that. But whatever.
More prepared. My financial guy says we're good, you know, and I don't believe him. And he shows me facts that, you know, each year it's going to be worth more.
You see it here. You see the math here. You trust your guy. But here, you don't really believe it. Is that correct?
Hell no.
But I did notice you said this thing about my wife has worked her ass off and she wants to spend. And what does she want to spend on?
And you know, she does not spend a lot. She really doesn't. She's very good. But I just...
Well, oh, wait, not spending a lot means you're good. Did I catch that?
Well, no, she really... I know, but what if she starts doing that?
Keep going. What if she starts doing it and then what happens? Like, what if she starts spending a little bit and then she trips and falls and starts spending $50,000 a month? Any concern about that happening?
Oh yeah, no, not that much, but
how much then?
I don't know. I'm embarrassed to say that, you know, I got to keep saving.
I talk to so many people who are in this same situation and they have 500,000, 5 million, 13 million, and they still cannot bring themselves to spend.
All right, so let's talk about the 5 million, 10 million, 13 million. I did my financial review. I think I've shared that with you, most of you all, for my calculation to get to 10 million for my retirement, right? It's just 10 million, Tameika. This isn't 10 million with all the other endeavors. Is just me, right? And so when you're going through finding a financial planner and finding a financial advisor and looking at what you're spending every month and doing the calculation on what your net worth is and what products you're investing in, your brokerage accounts, your mutual funds, your putting money away just liquid cash, money away into different things, whether it's real estate or watches or you're buying buildings or whatever the case may be, right? When you're going through this process, the one thing that always comes down is what are your daily spends? What are the automatic payments? What are these automatic things that are coming out? Where can you cut corners so you can have more to put away? What's actually working for you? What's actually being put what you're putting in is actually working. So these are the things that don't really get talked about on these podcasts per se, but I'm just trying to give it to you from my perspective of someone who's going through it and putting things together. Being careful of your RSUs that you get from companies, your bonuses that you get from companies. If you get a bonus, don't spend a bonus on a bill. Spend a bonus on buying a house or a bonus on buying something that's going to be income producing, or throw it in your 401k. Those of you have some that have another set of stream of income or something that you want to do, that you want to have that put in, do something there, whether it's a CD, a bond laddering, CD laddering, mutual funds. You may be a comic book collector, you may be a sneakerhead, or what have you. These things are gonna grow in time. But again, these are things that you have to be accountable for. So, word of advice, this is not financial advice, this is just advice. Keep a spreadsheet of everything. Download those PDFs and look at where you're spending at, and budget and plan for those things, right? I know some people are extreme coupon savers. They buy stuff on a coupon. They're not going to eat at the restaurant unless they got a coupon, right? Some people are not even going out to eat. They're gonna stay in the house and eat. It's people out there that's never been to Red Lobster. It's people out there that have never been to Ruth Chris. It's people that have never been to Panera Bread. It is people who have never ate at PF Chang's or any of those other restaurants. This just, it don't even cross their mind. They're not even doing it. Like, we're gonna stay at home, we're gonna eat, right? So again, just be mindful of your budgets. And so it sounds like to me he watches every penny, right? So if you get with someone and they don't have a good financial palette, you may want to sit down and figure out why they don't have that good financial palette and what's stopping them from getting that financial palette. Is it that no one's ever told them, or they don't know? These are just conversations that y'all just need. I think they just, to me, I just think they're conversations, not necessarily just dating conversations, just even with your friends, just a conversation like, girl, what's your thought process on you getting saving for 10 million for the next couple of years or what have you. That's just saying. I had this with D all the time. We do have these conversations often, probably every day. Probably every day. Right? All right, so let's get back.
I told my group I'd like to go to New Zealand.
Oh, what's there?
The world's highest bungee jump.
Oh my, okay. Amazing. That is terrifying to me. You are healthy. You have the money. You have the time because you work and you seem to have a flexible schedule. Is there anything stopping you from doing these things?
No coupon.
I can't afford it.
The fact of the matter is you're 60 years old, you're healthy, you want to go bungee jumping in New Zealand, and you can afford it with the money that you probably have in your checking account or savings account. Or if not, after 2 months, you would be able to afford it. What would that feel like if you did that?
I think it'd be cool.
Have you ever done something like that?
No, I'm the worst. I analyze everything.
Just a quick question. Again, you're 60 years old. Do you have to wait until next winter to go?
Yeah, because I need to save up.
Okay. So like, how much is in all your accounts? Just like are we talking like $10, $10,000, $100,000? Just a ballpark if I were to open up all your accounts together?
Was 3 million.
3 million plus the house, 2 million, plus the cash flow.
Right.
I'm not sure you need to save up $500 a month for a year. Anybody agree with me? Like, could you just go and then pay yourself back?
No, because you got to work for it. You got to like save.
Tommy, listen to me closely. There is no virtue in living a smaller life than you have to. You already have the money. You have the health. You have a loving partner. You have kids. You won. It's time to cash it in. That was a live Q&A from my money coaching program where I show you new ways to apply my material to your finances and I answer your money questions right there on the spot. You can join at iwt.com/
D, why you gotta be so degraded? 3 million in savings, 2 million in the house. He can't afford to jump off a string. Pittity.
money coaching. That's iwt.com/money coaching.
Drop a 1 if you're enjoying this so far. Let me know what your thoughts are. Drop a 1 if you're enjoying this so far. I found this one interesting because again, if we're talking about somebody who has, there's 6.3 million, right? And she's ready to retire at 56. Most people can't retire at 56. She's ready to retire at 56, right? And she was like, I'm good. I got, I don't want to have to live off his money, as she so eloquently put it, because even though she's been contributing to that money, she knows that he's going to run that money, and she knows she's not going to be able to do anything. So whatever she want to do, she better go do it now before she retire. But if she was going to tootsie roll across the stage at Vegas, she better go now and spend her own money to tootsie roll across the stage at Vegas, because he ain't going to let her do that.
Now, back to my conversation with Tommy and Caroline.
Each month I'm putting money away because that's how my mind works. It's like, that's how you get by shit. You don't just say, okay, I'm going to buy it. I got to make sure that I have the money. And if I don't, I'm going to save up for it. I'm going to earmark this amount of money, and that's how I'm going to do it.
Sounds pretty reasonable the way you say it. But I also remember that I had to pull teeth to get you to talk about New Zealand. And then when you finally said, oh, that would be cool, it was like, yeah, we'll go on that like a year from now or 18 months or some long time from now. That sound familiar?
Yes.
I was like, why don't you just go next month? In fact, why don't you go next week?
Can't afford it.
Oh, you can't? I guess I'm looking at these numbers in your conscious spending plan with all those zeros. Like, oh, that must be a very expensive trip to New Zealand. My gosh.
We're going to live a long time. We got to take care of that.
Not that long. I mean, got a lot of zeros in this conscious spending plan. What's up with that nod, Caroline? You think so too?
Well, I mean, we talk about a place in Florida, and I knew, if we would get a place, it had to be reasonable. So we do some Airbnbs, and this one place that we stayed at, the condos were going for $200,000. I thought, oh, he might entertain that. Yeah. And it was on water, so I said something to him and he said, sure. Boom. He changed his mind completely. He was like, I don't think we need to spend the money.
So how do you two come to agreements on spending money? How does it go?
I think ideally we come to a solution.
No, I don't want to know ideally. I want to know real. Give me a scenario.
That was a mistake on my part.
Woo-wee! You can look at her face and be like, we don't. We don't. We don't. Let's go.
I violated my own rule, which is ask a vague question, get a vague answer. And that's exactly what started to happen. If I hear people going into vague language, ideally we do this or we usually do that, I never let them continue. I don't care about their answer because it's always fake. In vague language, when we are talking about ourselves vaguely, we're perfect. We always try to work out. We try to eat right.
And the reason why I like this podcast, because I hope it gives you all tools on how to talk to each other when it comes to finances, when it comes to making decisions. I hope you're learning the language of how to interact with each other, where one person can understand where you're coming from, how it makes him or her feel. Also, what and face the reality of what it is. We saw the couple last week, $55,000 for private school for 3 kids. We can't afford it. You need to get them tutors. We can't afford it.
We try to manage our money. In real life, we haven't opened up a sub-savings account in 5 years because our kid keeps waking up at 5 a.m. and we lost the password. And if we roll it all back, it's because my mom didn't love me because I got a B on my math test in 4th grade. Those are the details that I'm looking for because those are the details that actually matter. So remember, ask a vague question, get a vague answer.
Give me a scenario.
Well, we don't have the condo, I'll tell you that. I get told no. That's what I
Okay.
get. And I say, what about my money? You know,
We're going to travel. I'm not going to wait. That's why I want to go to New Zealand next year. She's like thinking, is this going to happen? I've already put it in the works with the travel agent. So it's going to happen. Not sure what month. It's probably going to be January or February of 2024 because I got to save up for it. But I'm sure I will have enough saved up for it.
How much do you need to save up for that trip?
I'm thinking probably about 20,000
Okay. How long is the trip going to be?
a month. I'm already taking money. I'm putting money aside.
Okay. Caroline, do you agree with that?
yeah, I would think that would be a good amount of money for a month. When you rent something for a month, it's more reasonable than like a hotel for a month or whatever.
Okay. You're about to be retired. Tommy says he doesn't want to retire for a long time. What's that going to mean for the two of you?
Meaning about spending money?
Yeah, or traveling, spending money, that kind of thing.
I want to keep at the same income level I'm at, which is pretty low. And I do that for tax reasons. So I don't want to be pulling a boatload out of our savings. And I would like to keep it at that. And I'm not working just because, I'm nervous. I really enjoy what I do. It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
And I think I'm pretty good at it. And it excites me. I think guys who retire early die early. And I'm not going to do that.
Okay. Caroline, what does it mean for you that one is going to be retired and one is not?
It means, like he just said, that we're not going to have as much income. And I worry because we're young. I want to do stuff now. I don't want to do anything because we feel like we don't have money. And then when we're 75, because he's going to live to 100, we're going to do stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I don't see it that way at all. I had a mother that did everything. She always was going and going and going. Then she got sick and she didn't do anything. She ended up still giving us money because later on in her life, she didn't do much. My greatest fear is that we're not going to spend any money now because he feels like we don't have the double income. And by the time we can spend money, when we're older, I won't want to travel as much. And we're saving for Tom to live to 100 is what we're doing. We're totally saving for Tom to live to 100.
I see. Tommy, what do you think about what Caroline said? She had some pretty important things there.
I believe we need to be on the same page. And then I do believe it's pretty smooth because Caroline's going to speak her mind and she knows that I'm going to speak my mind. Yet I realize there are times that I do feel like I control things too much. And that's probably a huge downfall for me, but huge attribute because, you know, I own my own business and I guess I've had to go with that mindset that, you know, the buck stops with me. If things screw up, it's.
He sounded like he went through the 2008 crash and never got out of the mindset. Right. Tracy, you said she just needs to get a less stressful job. I don't even know what she does for that even what that even look like. I don't know why I got a taste for an American company cookie. I just got a taste for it randomly.
My fault. And hopefully they go well and, you know, collectively we'll do well. But I know I control shit way too much.
All right. You want to change that or no?
Yes. Put it this way. I love playing sports. And when I'm on a team sports, I am never, ever the coach or the manager. For once, I don't have to worry about this or that. It's just, I got to worry about how well I perform.
Okay. So you like being the individual contributor when it comes to sports. At work, you're the person in charge. The buck stops with you. But it sounds like you have also adopted that mentality when it comes to money in your relationship. Would that be fair?
Yes.
Okay. And do you want that relationship the way it is now, or do you want to change it?
I want to change it, but I worry. I worry that if I'm not in control, then.
Well, I didn't ask about the but. I just asked if you want to change it.
Yeah, a little bit.
You really should watch Tommy's facial expressions as I ask these questions. He's quite expressive and it tells you a lot. Check out the YouTube video.
You could say no. I'm not trying to lead you with a question. If you don't want to change it, tell me.
Then I will answer a little bit. I feel like moving forward, this is a big thing.
And FYI, I want to go on the trip with them to New Zealand if they spending $20,000. Where you staying at for a month? And y'all spending $20,000. What you doing in New Zealand for $20,000 for a whole month? And he said he worked with the travel agent. What's the tickets like? Are they flying first class, or is he getting like we can sit at the exit row? What does that look at? What does that look like? Right? Oh yeah, she know he ain't gonna change. You know, he ain't gonna change, but she know he's a good steward of money, so he provides stability.
About how we spend our money, and I get worried about it. And even our financial guy has said, "Hey, you're good. You guys are good." Well, I don't know. I don't know how much we can spend each month. That's what I want to feel comfortable with, because if I know that, then I can chill. I can relax.
So you believe that if you have a certain number in front of you, that suddenly you're going to relax about money?
Yes.
Okay, here's a little pop quiz for you. If you were in my chair, how would you approach the rest of your conversation with Tommy and Caroline? What route would you take? Think about it. Some people are tempted to emphasize the numbers. Tommy, you're a millionaire. But what if I told you Tommy already knows that? And he hasn't actually changed anything because of it. What else would you do? See, one of the things I'm trying to do here is to get as many of the details out of couples that I speak to. But I'm also evaluating the details that they give.
All right, so the question now becomes to the audience, do you know how much you spend a month by yourself? And do you know how much you spend a month with your partner, and then how much the household spends a month? If you don't know that, I challenge you to take some time to learn that, right? And if you say every month can be different, I'm sure you have steady expenses that come out every month consistently. So what are those steady expenses that come out consistently? And then do you also understand where all your money is going, right? Down to the gas, down to where you get your gas from, the whole nine, right? I'll be honest, Dia tell you in a minute, I don't look at how much gas costs. I don't look at how much gas. Just fill it up. I don't look at how much gas costs. Yeah, how much does it cost for you to be you? And how much does it cost for you to be you around others, right? Right? Do you know how much it costs for you when you go out with your friends? Do you know how much it costs when you go to a particular restaurant? And there's nothing wrong with getting a restaurant and eating on a coupon or whatnot. And I've heard people go on first dates that a guy got a Groupon ticket, got a Groupon, and they go on a date on a Groupon. If that's what y'all into, that's what y'all do. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I just don't look at the gas tank to fill it up. I just fill it up. It's just what it is, right? Let's get back to it.
Most of it, candidly, is noise. Some of it is interesting, but it's a route with a dead end or a bad end. You'll sometimes hear me wave couples off of a certain conversation route they're going if I can tell it's not going to be good. Other times, I will hear something and it's really important, but it's not as important as the burning issue. I'll give you an example from this conversation right now. Tommy has mentioned his finance guy. Now, I haven't gone down that route intentionally, but I'm willing to bet he's paying somebody a 1% AUM fee, which is a total waste of money, especially at their net worth. Now,
all right. So often on times on these financial podcasts, they would tell you to get rid of your financial guy, your planner or whatnot, because you do pay a 1% fee, right? And so when you're looking and you're talking to these different financial advisors or whatnot, some people won't even look at you unless you got a minimum of 250,000 or 1 million in a brokerage account that they're going to manage. And then they're going to get 1% and a power of attorney to make trades and manage your account. Oftentimes, and then this is questions that I ask, I'm like, do you grow people money to that amount, or do people come to you with that amount and then you help them grow beyond that? Most of the time it's people that they're like, I don't have time to manage this, or I don't want to manage this. And then the person they seek out helps them grow the money past that, but they already have that money before they get in there, right? They already have 1 million before they get there. They already maybe worth 2 million and they help them grow to X, Y, and Z, right? So again, I'm just putting it out there, just things I have discovered so you all can be informed on what it is and so you can have your own thing. So let's go back to it.
ordinarily, I would spend time talking about that, but I don't want to do that. Just like for any soccer referees out there, you know the advantage clause, just let it go. Same thing here. I can see this mistake happening, but there are bigger things that I need to talk about. And frankly, if I were to bring up that AUM fee he's probably paying a financial advisor, Tommy would welcome it because he wants to do anything except tackle the real issue here. The real issue, the burning pain. That is what I'm always looking for. Because if we can solve that, the $30,000 question, or in their case, the $10 million question, then the rest of their concerns are mere trivialities. So this is what I mean by focusing on the big wins. There's usually one main issue that is more important and meaningful than all the next 9 issues combined. We want to search for it and take as long as we need to do to find it. But when we find it, we want to go full head on to confront that issue.
You mentioned that you never want to be a burden on your family. I can understand that completely. And you mentioned that you don't want to have to worry. You want to know that there's enough.
Right.
How much is enough? Look at that smile. I like this. Have you talked about this before? I'm going to go out on a limb and guess here.
I don't know, 12,000 a month.
Well, but
Is that enough?
not really.
How much is enough?
20.
I would think 15,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tommy?
If we can afford it.
Well, I'm not asking if you can afford it. I'm just asking how much is enough.
I don't know.
How much should the two of you make together? Like, how much do the two of you make right now every month together? Gross.
So I think mine's kind of tricky because I'm self-employed.
So how much do you pay yourself?
Net $37.50 every 2 weeks.
Hold on.
4,000
Every
times.
time people give me these weird
4,000
It's
times
like
4.
7,500.
7,500 a month gross.
No,
correct?
net.
Oh,
Net.
that's net. Okay. Oh God.
So gross, I think, was about 7,300 every
that
2 weeks.
would be higher. Gross would be
I
higher.
know, but the accountant takes out to the 401k to do other things. So
Yeah, that's why I like to see gross. But whatever. All right.
Yeah.
You basically make like 10, 12,000 a month gross. But you could pay yourself more, you could pay yourself less. You choose to pay yourself that much, right?
Right.
All right, fine. And Caroline, you make approximately 7,000 a month. Fair enough?
Yeah, probably. Mine's
Right.
going into 401k and medical bill.
not
And
gross. You make more than that. Caroline, you're about 160 a year.
I just want to point out,
160,
as you two
170,000
dig
a
through
year.
your pay stubs and stuff, I just want to point out for
Yeah.
everyone watching and listening, like,
Okay.
here we have a multimillionaire couple who doesn't even know how much they make. It's fucking
yeah, because
awesome.
I don't look at the bank account. It's
awesome.
He should look at the bank account.
I don't look at the bank account. D, does that work for you? You don't look at the bank account? I don't know how much go in there. I just get paid and go to work, and then I can't buy headphones. All right, so let's talk about it. Oh man, I gotta get out of big screen mode. All right, so 170 a year. This is what I try to show you all. Let me see, can I do that? Oh no, that's it. So it's on the screen, but you can see it. So we're gonna do 170. And we're just gonna divide that. Well, we'll just do gross and just divide that by 12. So 14,166 is that. I didn't take out any taxes. I just divided by 12. So it's 14,000 a month. That she's bringing home, right? She has a separate account. Of course, she has some 401k. She's over 50. She's over 50, so she can contribute an extra. I think it's an extra 5,000. Is it? So instead of 23, it's 28,000. So 28,500 divided by 12. So in 401k, a month. I mean, yeah, a month. Is that right? Yeah, 2375. Because it's 17, it was 1708. It's now something else. But anyway, she gets to contribute an extra a month. So, and depending on what type of job or whatever he has set up, like a SEP IRA, he can contribute more on his end. He can contribute 53,000, 54,000, something like that on his end. So she can, if she's willing, she can contribute more money to his SEP IRA because they're married. But again, is he gonna let her use the money coming out of that to do what they need to do? Right. So just a different aspect, different view there. So 14,000 a month is what it is. That's what they contribute. That's what she contributes. I mean, that's what her gross is, not what she contributes. That's what her gross is, and then after taxes and all of that, that's what she probably puts in. So she probably right. She probably putting in about 7,000.
I do look at the bank account.
Yeah, it's like 13,000 a month. Yeah, I probably make 13,000 a month. I did
Okay.
160
Whatever.
divided by 12.
Whatever. It doesn't matter to me. You all make a lot of money. Fine with me. Your income's about to disappear, Caroline. Fine. And Tommy, you can basically pay yourself whatever you want to pay yourself. You choose to pay yourself that much. Could you pay yourself more, theoretically? You have the cash flow for it?
Yes.
So Tommy, can I ask you a couple of questions? So you're 60 years old.
Yes.
You're a multimillionaire, successful entrepreneur. Do you accept those things?
Yeah, the multi-millionaire, no. I don't.
I mean, I'm looking at the numbers. There's multiple commas. Let's put it that way. You are
I
a
guess
multimillionaire.
If you look at it that way, yes, I guess.
Yeah, the way like facts. Okay, so you are a multimillionaire, successful entrepreneur. How long you been running your business?
A little over 30 years.
Fantastic. All right. How many businesses do we know that even last that long? That's amazing. Okay. You're telling me that in 30 years and millions of dollars of accumulation, you have never been able to figure out how much money you can safely spend every month?
We've been told about figure on $12,000 a month and you should be fine.
Okay. And do you accept that number?
No.
I think so. I think we can do that.
You told me a second ago, I need to know the number because then I'm just going to hand over financial control to Caroline. Well, you know the number.
I don't know if that's the right number. I think it is.
I see. Okay.
I've never been in a position like this. It doesn't seem real.
Okay.
I mean, I'm proud of what we've done. We've saved a shitload.
Yeah.
And we've done it, I want to say, kind of the hard way. It's like making smart choices, not overspending on stupid shit and not, knowing our means.
Okay. And if we go back to you saved a lot. You're proud of what you did. You never thought you'd be in this position. And therefore, to think about spending more means what?
Man, if you don't follow the course, Tommy, you're going to fuck it up. So you better keep, saving.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest.
I appreciate it. I think that.
I hope y'all don't be stressing out like this with your money. It's stressing me out. It's stressing me out. He got a finance guy. He make your nose itch. He got a finance guy. She's working. She's contributing. She's doing what she need to do. She wants to retire. She's contributed. I don't hear nothing about, because it don't sound like they got no housekeeper. It sounds like they clean it up themselves. I don't see them having no housekeeper. I don't see them having no chef. I see them doing it all themselves. All right. I see them doing it all themselves.
Real. What got you here could work. It would work with the mentality of where you were at 30 years old when you started this business. And at that point, probably you were actually about 30 years old, right? When you started this business? Yeah. Hustling, trying to get your first client, etc. Every entrepreneur goes through that stage. I get that. But every entrepreneur is in a way trying to get to where you are. And what a shame if you still act the exact same way you did as when you were 30 years old, just starting out.
I guess I don't look at it as being, a shame. It's like, I got to keep hustling. I got to keep having that edge. I got to keep doing this.
So is it me, or she look like 10 years younger than he do? Is it just me? Because she look like she 10 years younger. It ain't me. You don't think you think they look about the same age, D? Nah, he look like he is 67, 70 to me. And she looked like she might be a good 54, 56. Like, she looked right there. That's just me. I don't know. He looked like he's stressing himself out. I'm surprised his hair ain't fallen out on the video.
Can you hustle and still enjoy some of the benefits of what you've worked for?
I guess I know I should enjoy it more. And, you know, Caroline pushes me to do that. And I know I'm kind of a dick.
Tommy is showing you what happens to successful people who wrap frugality and saving into their identity. When they finally succeed, it is virtually impossible for them to change their identity. And you will see that successful people like this display a complete inability to get off the hamster wheel. Because when you've always lived for the future, telling yourself that someday you'll spend your money, you have actually let the skill of spending money meaningfully deteriorate. Now, if you are listening or you're watching this, Tommy's actually giving you a huge gift. He's giving you the gift of a crystal ball into your future. Many of you, especially the ones who have read my book and joined my Earnable program and money coaching, you're going to end up with a lot of money. But if you don't learn how to meaningfully save as well as spend it, it's very likely you will end up with more money than you can use and no real ability or willingness to spend it.
Caroline will tell you this. That's two things that I love to spend money on. And I don't, she said traveling, I do, but when it comes to sporting events and concerts, don't care. I will go to as many as possible and I'll try to get the best seats if I can. And I love doing that. That's my indulgence.
Okay. You don't worry that you're spending too much on it?
No, because I feel I deserve it.
Oh, you deserve it. Where'd that come from?
Because I work hard. I mean, to me, that's pretty minor. Just saying, hey, I'm going to spend it on, you know, concerts and sporting events.
Okay, good answer. What else is best case for you? Concerts? You want to go to one every year, quarter? What are we talking about?
Oh, shit. At least I'd like to go once a month minimum.
Wow. Okay. What kind of...
But she can't buy no $20 headphones.
Do you want to get there?
Ooh, that'd be cool to have like really good seats.
You ever done that?
Yeah.
I got you. So concerts, maybe once in a while, get some great seats, go every month. Fantastic. What else?
Sporting events. Yeah, I think it'd be cool. You know, I know so little about soccer, but I think it'd be cool to check out a World Cup.
Sounds good to me. Do you think we might be able to apply that to some other parts of your life?
Caroline's laughing. I know. I guess I should. But
Caroline, what does it mean to you to hear Tommy sharing these things? Any surprises?
No, and I mean, eventually, like your 401k, they make you take it out. So then I'm thinking, okay, when they make us take it out, Tom's probably going to put it in another savings account. He's not going to spend it.
Yeah.
I mean, I can just hear it.
I know
it
what,
from him now.
I know what retired men do, like optimizers like you, Tommy. I know it because I talk to them, and they take their RMD and then they literally put it right back in. They invest it again. I go, what the fuck are you doing? And they go, whoa, I don't even know what to spend it on. And this is where it goes from funny to haunting. They go, what would I spend it on anyway? And I go, let me get this straight. I don't say this to him because I'm not trying to psychologically devastate a 72-year-old man. But I go, let me get this straight. You worked your ass off for basically 45 plus years to accumulate a bunch of money, provide for your family. You did all that. But along the way, you forgot what you actually wanted to spend it on. Maybe you never even built them.
And that's the point. That's where we're going to stop right there. Why save all the money and then you get to the end of the line and you don't know where to put the money, right? You don't know where this RMD is coming out. It's $45,000 and you're like, you're having heart palpitations and you don't know what it's been. We'll finish it off. I may finish it off later on tonight. I just wanted to give y'all the insight on that one. I thought that one was very interesting. They got 6.3 million. They're married. The kids are grown. 3. It didn't even sound like she has any kids at all. from what it sounded like, but they didn't ask her either in the beginning of this. And the kids, it sounds like the kids are well off, right? The kids are well off. They're doing their thing, right? This is the end of our show. I don't know. I gotta get stuff for D. I don't think we're doing the second show, are we, D? D's like, no, we're not doing the second show. I ain't gonna be sitting in this house. I'm about to go outside. All right. I may do a second show by myself tonight. Because I want to go over government contracting on the second show. And talk about that as well too. But we're glad you came. I hope you all got a good Saturday cackle out of this. A hee hee. You can watch the rest of it. I will. What was it called again? I will teach you. Yeah, I will teach you to be rich. You can go finish it off. And Lee, don't encourage her. You missed the tic tac toe on Wednesday. I gotta put up the Monopoly game too. Either way, it's been real. I hope y'all had fun. Again, just think about making your journal, your money journal as well too, your financial journal. If I do anything, I'll post it in the Slack. It'll be just on GoToMeeting. I'll just post it in Slack and go live on GoToMeeting. I did it last week on the 100th episode. And we had some people that came on. So it'll probably be a little later on, probably about 10 o'clock. I may do something about 9 or 10 o'clock East Coast time. I'll just drop a GoToMeeting link inside the Slack. We'll finish this off and we'll talk about the government contracting. I'll probably do the government contracting tonight before I finish that off. But we'll talk about the government contracting, where the money is at, what people are looking for. That was what the second show was going to be about. So I'll just record it and then we can just post it and then go there. I hope y'all enjoy. I hope y'all are working on saving your money. Make sure you check your accounts. Look at what these banks are doing. Everybody keep learning. Everybody keep investing. And make sure you bring others with you. Those that don't want to go, don't force them. Leave them where they at and be all right with that. All right. Until then, y'all have fun. Peace out.